You ready, Carlo?
Second?
Okay.
Good morning again. Thank you everyone for your patience. Ms. Matias, we are recording, we are streaming. You may proceed with this morning's executive review session.
Good morning. This is the New York City Board of Standards and Appeals review session for November 5th, 2025. Please be reminded that no public testimony is permitted during the review session. I will note for the record that Commissioner Sheta is attending virtually. The first item up is adjournments 2024-41BZ 10539 Cross Bay Boulevard, Queens.
Okay, we received a revised set of documents, including statement of facts, plans, and a revised operational plan. The operational plan has been revised and provide more clarity regarding trash management and bus parking. I want the operational plan to be included in the resolution. Did everybody have a chance to review all the documents?
Are we talking about the adjournment case?
Yeah,
Oh, we are talking about adjournment.
yeah, 41BZ. We're going to move that to November 17th.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just jumped to the decision. My bad.
Okay.
We all get excited.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. So once again, I'm calling 2024-41BZ
Thank you.
10539 Cross Bay Boulevard, Queens.
Adjourned.
Okay. Decision items. 2024-59BZ 1343 to 1353 50th Street, Brooklyn.
Okay. Apologies again, that you have to hear me again on this matter. So applicant did make a revision, to the documents that we had asked the applicant to revise, including statement of facts and plans, and also a revised operational plan, which now outlines a much more detailed trash management plan and bus parking when students are not being dropped off or being picked up, where they will be stored. So this operational plan, the latest operational plan, should be included in our resolution. Did everybody have a chance to review the information?
When you say it's going to be included in the resolution, that means it will be clearly
Stated.
stated that the trash will
Yeah.
be containerized and that. okay.
Yeah, all the language that has been stated in the operational plan should be incorporated into the resolution.
Okay.
Saying that the operational plan dated, whatever the format, I think dated such and such states, these would be done.
Okay.
I just want to add that I do believe that we reached out to the community board over at least 3 months and that.
Sorry, Vice Chair.
Sorry, Commissioner,
Yeah.
Vice Chair Shabeta, your microphone, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I just wanted to state that we have reached out to the community board for what is over 3 months and have not received comment back. So at this point, I think it's fair to proceed forward.
Yes.
And that this case is filed in May of 2025 and notice was sent out properly at that point.
Thank you for, yes. And it was not just the applicant, but also our office had reached out. to the
Our
community.
office had reached out, I have dates, our office had reached out on August, on 8/6, on 9/24, and on 10/27. And have not received feedback.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you for that clarification. So I want to make a motion to approve with the following set of conditions. That the school shall maintain sidewalks free and clear of trash. The trash management plan shall be followed, which includes a designated refrigerated trash storage space at the cellar level where cooler bins are stored. Trash bins will be wheeled out to the curb just before sanitation scheduled pickup days. After collections, trash bins will be returned to the cellar storage area. If the school, and that the school shall keep sidewalks and loading zones free and clear from vehicles. That the buses shall be parked at least space at 401-417 Dahill Road, Brooklyn, after drop-offs, pickups, and when not in use by the school. The structural integrity of the subject building before and after the proposed addition is beyond the scope of the BSA review, and the structural integrity of the subject building and the proposed addition shall be evaluated by New York State licensed structural engineer and reviewed and approved by DOB to satisfy the applicable provisions of the building code. Window wall attenuation of 33 dBA would be required on the southern facade along 50th Street and on the eastern and western facade of for 50 feet from 50th Street. Rooftop shall have no sound amplification devices. The rooftop shall have a fence which consists of a 10-foot high steel post frame with acoustic barriers as shown on the approved set of plans or of similar material. So those are my recommendations. Any thoughts or
I agree.
then motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Chair Shanda,
Aye.
Vice Chair Shabeta,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Yoon.
Aye.
Application has been granted. Appeals calendar, new cases, item number 3, 2025-35A, 5012 Highland Boulevard, Staten Island.
Okay, we received proof of initial filing and hearing notice. We have not received anything from the community board, so I would like the applicant to provide an update. And meanwhile, our office should also reach out to the community board regarding the status. This is an application for a GCL 35 to build an as-of-right two-family detached home within the bed of a mapped but unbuilt street and a waiver of certain bulk regulations pursuant to zoning resolution section 7201-01G. So the waivers that's being requested, and I'll get into this, the waiver is one front yard and one side yard, and also a waiver of an arterial setback pursuant to zoning resolution section 107-241, because this is in the special South Richmond district. Now, very threshold factor of this whole review is that pursuant to 7201G, while it does grant, allows the board to grant waivers, bulk waivers, these bulk waivers have to be related, and there has to be a nexus between that and the GCL 35. When I look at the plan, what is being asked is more and beyond what the scope of GCL 35 and 7201G does. So at most, the board can waive is one of the front yards, which is, so as you know, the subject site has a frontage on Highland and a frontage on what is a map street, which is
Petersburg.
Petersburg, thank you. Petersburg, but the Petersburg portion is the unbuilt portion. So the waiver of the bulk can be granted only up to the frontage of the Petersburg. So the front yard waiver related to the Petersburg is justifiable pursuant to 7201, but not the other two, which is the front yard along Highland, which is per section 107-241. It requires that a 20-foot setback be required along Highland Boulevard. And similarly, the side yard requirements also requires an 10-foot requirement, I believe, where what is proposed is less than that. So board cannot waive those two. So at most board can consider is to waive one of the front yards, and which is the front yard fronting along Petersburg Avenue. So I just want to make that very clear up front, and we should proceed with our review accordingly. The applicant is proposing to build a portion of the Petersburg Avenue to provide access to the parking area. So a note should be added to the plan that DOT shall review and approve a builder's pavement plan that shall be designed and constructed pursuant to DOT standard, and no TCO shall be approved prior to the completion of the road build. I have no other comments with regards to the rest of the matter of GCL 35. I think it meets the requirements. Vice Chair Shibata.
Thank you, Chair. I do agree with you. I do believe it meets the requirements of GCL 35. I just want to be a bit more specific with 7201G so that the applicant can revise his or her statement. The specific language is that such bulk waivers shall only be as necessary to address non-compliance resulting from the location of the development or enlargement within and outside the unimproved streets. And the zoning lot shall comply to the maximum extent feasible with all applicable zoning regulations as if such unimproved streets were not mapped. Now, they're going to have to revise their statement of facts and their request for waivers to meet such language, or make an argument that their application is meeting such, but I don't see that as the proposal stands. And
Yeah, this is not a zoning interpretation.
Right, no,
So-
certainly, it is an appeal, but I do certainly
Right.
agree that the language is very clear
Yes.
and the proposal and waivers are outside the scope of that language. I just wanted to address the specific language that bars us from granting those waivers that we're not permitted to grant.
That's right. Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Otley Brown?
I have no additional questions or comments.
Commissioner Shetta?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Brown, could you repeat what you said? We couldn't hear you on the hearing.
I have no additional comments or questions.
Commissioner Otley Brown, you may want to use that other mic that said this way.
Yeah, but it could pick it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Want me to
Thank you.
re-say it?
Were you able to hear Commissioner Otley Brown?
Yes, I heard her the second time. Thank you.
Should I go ahead?
Commissioner Shetta?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I wasn't sure about the bulk waiver that's requested, whether it's necessitated by the frontage on the unbuilt map. So I would have deferred that to you and to Commissioner Ewan. Thank you for highlighting this. And I'll be like listening to the applicant response on this point. The second thing, I wanted them to submit a FEMA map because I haven't seen one. And in addition to that, if there is any violations or violation on the property, please mention that or address that in the statement of facts. Thank you.
This is a vacant site.
It's a vacant site, isn't it?
Yeah. There's no
Uh,
structure on this.
No, the site,
Sometimes they put a fence, they get a violation for the fence. Yes, I understand.
Oh, okay.
yeah, I did visit the site, Commissioner Shetta. It is a vacant Greenland site, but I do not recall if there was a fence.
You never know. It doesn't hurt to ask. And if there is none, they say none.
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Yoon, I want to actually thank Commissioner Yoon. She had reviewed this application before I did, and she raised this question, which we discussed. Thank you.
The only thing I wanted to add to your statement, Chair, is that you said it was one front yard that was being waived, but I think technically it's two front yards because there's a 15-foot and a 10-foot front yard required on the corner lot. And they're proposing a 5-foot and a 0-foot front yard. But on top of that, there's the additional overlay of the arterial setback that requires the 20-foot setback from Highland. So
Bottom line
substantially, it's
is-
the same thing. We're only able to waive the front yard request to 0 or to, virtually, to 0 on Petersburg under 7201G. That's the only one that we're contemplating here under this application.
That's
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Yes. No. Did you want to say anything? Okay. All right, let's go to the next question.
This case?
The
Zoning-
next case.
Yeah. Zoning calendar, new cases. Item number 4, 2025, 25 BC, 2456 Richmond Avenue, Staten Island.
Okay, We received proof of initial filing and hearing notice. Community Board has voted to approve this application. It was a unanimous vote. This is a special permit application pursuant to zoning resolution section 73-311 to permit an accessory drive-through facility for an as-of-right eating and drinking establishment proposed at the subject site. So this is very much a standalone kind of a site surrounded by a parkland on one side and street networks on the other side and commercial use. So, and currently it is being used as, it has it's a mini strip mall. at this point.
FedEx and
Yeah, all commercial use group 6 related uses. I just want, before I get into the findings, I want the applicant to add notes to the plan that the curb cuts and the sidewalks shall be restored and the new curb cuts shall be constructed pursuant to DOT approved builder's pavement plan and DOT standard. Because I believe much of the existing curb cuts are going to be relocated. So with that, let me start with the findings. Finding A, applicant is proposing 26 reservoir spaces, which is more than the minimum required, and there will be 2 reservoir lanes. In addition, the applicant is proposing 33 accessory parking spaces, which is more than required. So definitely meets the A. A1, that is. A2 is not applicable. With regards to the B finding, the traffic impact study shows that level of service will not change from the no build to proposed. The proposed configuration of the site oriented the site and the orientation of the drive-through in relation to the existing street network will have minimal impact on the existing traffic network. There is an existing a bus stop shelter for 3 bus lines that's located on Richmond Avenue. And so it is not indicated clearly on the site plan. And if it is going to be relocated, applicant needs to clearly state that and indicate that. And if it is not going to be relocated, it needs to be shown on the plan and indicate the distance from the bus stand to the nearest proposed curb cut that is being proposed. The plan and the statement of facts, there's a mismatch regarding Richmond Avenue accessway direction. In statement of facts, page 7, last paragraph states, in addition, a do not enter sign will also be provided at the Richmond Avenue entrance to the site, alerting drivers to the fact that there is a one-way site circulation. Whereas on page 2 of statement of facts, it says right in, right out. So it's a 2 movements that are being permitted along that curb cut on Richmond Avenue, and that's what is shown on the plan. So please go through your documents and make sure all the documents are consistent. In addition to providing a stop bar on the asphalt, add stop signs. So you have provided the stop bars on the asphalt pavement, but did add also additional sign. The reason is oftentimes these stop bars may fade away over time, but so having the stop signs and or do not enter, whichever is applicable, do provide those. A question I have, is there a stop sign and a stop bar proposed prior to the turning right? Prior to turning right to exit onto Richmond Avenue. I see the stop bar shown, but I do not see, it's not clear if that's a proposed stop bar or it's just being shown, and also indicate a stop sign, provide a stop sign. To minimize the pedestrian conflict, provide a 4-foot high fence along the frontages, especially along Richmond Avenue. And the reason I'm saying so, there is a bus stop, so you want to minimize somebody trying to quickly go through the site to get to the pickup window or to order something, and that may create a conflict between the drive-through lanes. With regards to finding C needs to be revised. Richmond Avenue is, I do not think the response provided by the applicant responds to C. And what actually the situation is that Richmond Avenue is predominantly developed with strip malls and shopping complexes along the eastern frontage of this corridor, and also along the western frontage there are pockets of such commercial strip malls intertwined with the parkland. So it is very different from the statement that has been provided as part of the finding C. With regards to finding D, the site does not abut any residential use, as I stated earlier. It is a site that is isolated from other uses, both residential and commercial uses by roadways and parkland, and hence will not have an adverse effect related to air quality and illumination from headlights of vehicles that are awaiting at the drive-through. Applicant states that the AVC will be kept active at all times and the speaker boards will be facing parkland. I want the applicant to clarify as to how many AVCs are proposed. I believe there are 2, but it was not clear from the statement of facts or from the drawing, so please do clarify that. With regards to finding E, applicant states that there will be fence. It is not clear from the plan of the proposed fence location, height, or material. So please indicate them on the plan and provide the specs of this fence. Also provide more landscaping along Richmond Avenue frontage, including low bushes from the intersection to the southern lot line. Those are my comments. I think the application in many ways, the location and the proposal and the orientation works. These are just things that would just further improve the building placement and the urban context that it is going to be situated in. Vice Chair Shibata.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with your statements. I do believe that the application does meet the A, B, C, D, and E findings. I did not see in the plans the type of planting that they were suggesting. It did look like it was very robust, but I would like to see what kind of bushes and what kind of trees they're planning to plant on the Richmond Avenue side, because again, there is no residence behind it, but I do, if we can have a site that's more pleasant to the eye, and also we'll deal with the question of people trying to cross through for the reason of the fence. You don't want to cross through thick bushes and trees. And so that is my only comment. I have no other comments for this application.
Thank you. Commissioner Otley Brown?
I'm actually satisfied with the application. My only comment is that when improving on the landscaping on Richmond Avenue, I think the applicant also needs to take into account possibly obstructing vision of the ongoing traffic on Richmond Avenue, because that traffic can go quite quickly when the lights are going. And so I would not want a car that's exiting the site to not see what's coming down the block and pull out and get into an accident.
So would you think pushing back
I think low planting would be most appropriate so that it doesn't block the visibility rather than trees. But it can be dense. You could have low, dense bushes that are generally like no more than 2 foot high or
Right,
something like
yeah.
that. And that would work.
or
I agree
if
with
you
you.
recede it, then you would have, when you pull out, you would be past the bushes.
But that's where I'm saying if you maintain a 2 foot high and generally most of everybody's driving SUVs these days, or even if you're driving a sedan, you can clearly see past 2 foot or even 1 foot. It's really greening it. Right now, it's too
beautifying it.
concrete. It's
Right.
too concretey, and it needs to be beautified with more landscaping, but that is appealing to the eye. And I completely agree with Commissioner Otley Brown and not to become an encumbrance and for vehicular safety and turning movements. Yeah. Commissioner Sheta.
Thank you, Chair. I'm satisfied with the application. I just wanted them to address violations in the statement of facts, if any. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Yoon.
Thanks. I am satisfied with this application.
Okay. Okay, next case, please.
Item number 5, 2025-27BZ, 3657 Kingsbridge Avenue, the Bronx.
Okay, this is also another drive-through application. We did receive proof of initial filing and hearing notice. Community Board has voted to approve this application with conditions. And it wasn't quite clear if the condition is still lingering, but when I read through the land use committees, it seems the land use committee had a condition, and the condition was that the applicant has to meet this prior to the general board meeting, and an applicant had agreed to it, and the approval seems to say they seem to have met it. So I don't think it's a conditional vote, they have met it. So it would be helpful if we can get a clarification. Maybe the applicant can reach out to the community board, and I would strongly suggest that our office also reach out to the community board to get a clarification on that. We did receive a letter of opposition from the property owner located across the subject site that hosts many of the other fast food restaurants, including Wendy's and McDonald's. So this is an application for a special permit pursuant to zoning resolution section 73-311 to permit an accessory drive-through facility for an of right in eating and drinking establishment proposed at the subject site. Currently, the site has been, up till very recently, has been used as a diner, and the applicant is proposing to provide a drive-through facility. The previous one was also a drive-through for a Raising Cane, and this one is also an application for a Raising Cane drive-through facility. Before I get into the details of the findings, couple of house cleaning. The documents are not consistent regarding proposed accessory parking spaces. Per plan, it is 10, per statement of facts and zoning chart, it is shown as 12. Revise the zoning chart regarding the proposed and existing floor area, it should be in square footage. Regarding also in the statement of facts, the reference has been made to these abutting existing drive-through facilities, especially Wendy's has been used. So, but the addresses keep changing. There are 2 different addresses, I believe, for this location, and the statement of facts, the traffic documents, all of them are using the same 2 different addresses. So it becomes very confusing. Please make it consistent and apply one address to refer to this particular sample site. With regards to the hours of operation, I would like the applicant to clarify what is the proposed hour of operation for the drive-through. Now, with regards to the trash enclosure, what is the proposed height of the trash enclosure? What is the type of gate for the trash enclosure that is being proposed? And the applicant needs to provide a detail of the enclosure. What is the proposed hours of trash pickup? What is the proposed hours of delivery? Indicate on the plan the proposed width of the curb cuts and the distance of the proposed curb cuts from the lot lines. Add notes to the plan that the curb cuts and the sidewalks shall be restored and new curb cuts shall be constructed pursuant to DOT approved builder's pavement plan and DOT standards. So let me move on to the findings. With regards to finding A, applicant is proposing 11 reservoir spaces for the drive-through, which is more than the minimum required, and in addition is providing on-site parking spaces. With regards to finding B, applicant states that both abutting streets are 2-way streets and allows vehicles to enter and exit from both frontages. By doing so, it would prevent vehicles queuing on these streets. Also, to prevent the queuing of the vehicles, applicant states that the entrance to the drive-through has been positioned in a way that would require vehicles to drive to the length of the either driveways in order to access either lanes and would therefore contain the queuing within the site. I agree with that statement, and the orientation and the configuration of the proposed drive-through would minimize backup onto the local streets. Based on the review of the traffic assessment report, I have following comments. Applicant states that the maximum calculated 95th percentile queue was 3 vehicles and the proposed drive-through will have 11, so that should be sufficient. Again, for a modal split, as I mentioned, the applicant used the existing Wendy's drive-through that is located in the abutting at the abutting lot. Again, I mentioned there are 2 different addresses that are being used. Please be consistent. Now, based on the applicant used the Wendy's traffic count to identify the peak period and also the modal split. Now, based on the report it projects that 45 to 46% of the customers are expected to arrive by foot. And that was what they had observed at the Wendy's drive-through. It was used to determine the number of vehicles arriving during peak hours. So my question is, in the statement of fact, page 3, para 2, it states maximum of maximum 15 employees will be on the site at any given time to fill approximately 850 customer orders per day, which is roughly 70% via drive-through and 30% pickup inside the restaurant. So what I read in terms of 45 to 46% of the customers arriving by foot and the percentage of the drive-through and the pickup and all of that, there's a little disconnect in the statement and the modal count that has been used for analysis. So the applicant needs to clarify. I understand this 70 to 30 is a total number of vehicles that are coming through, but throughout the statement, it almost seems like you don't have anybody walking in. It's all drive-through. So the applicant needs to revise the statement and carry the argument from what is the total amount of modal split that is expected to come by cars, pedestrians, pickups, and then of the vehiculars, what is the distribution for drive-through and the pickup. So also the traffic report and the table submitted on 1/28, that is January 28, needs clarification. When I compared the peak value for different modes for weekdays, PM, Saturday, midday, the percentage of walk-in seems to be more than what is stated. So what is stated is 45 to 46%, but when I do the math, I see the percentage to be over, in one case, it's over nearly 50%, and in one case, it's 61%. So please look through that analysis. With regards to finding C, both frontages are mapped for commercial use. The site was used as a diner up till recently. And there are other active drive-through facilities in the immediate study area. And regarding the proposed hours of operation, apart from McDonald's, which is open 24/7, all other eating and drinking establishments, they close by around 2 a.m. So I would like the applicant to clarify their proposed hours for the drive-through. With regards to finding D, lumen count along the residential lot line must be no more than 2-foot candle. So the applicant needs to revise the lumen analysis. In some of the counts, it exceeds 2 foot. It goes beyond 4 and such. Applicant needs to provide a noise propagation study. Unlike other drive-throughs in the study area, the proposed one abuts residential use. Though the drive-through operation is located furthest away from the abutting residential sites, AVC is facing residential windows on lot 882. So applicant needs to add a note to the plan that AVC shall be on at all times. I would like a clarification as to how many AVCs are being proposed. Put up a good neighbor sign to lower the volume that would emanate from the vehicles that are awaiting, whether in the parking lot or in the drive-through lane. And it's basically be kind to your neighbors. We have a standard language. Our project manager can provide that language to you. Again, clarify the hours of operation for the drive-through. Will it be until 3 a.m.? With regards to finding E, applicant is proposing a 10-foot high chain link fence with acoustical blocker along the lot lines. Along the residential lot line, there will be double rows of emerald green arborvitae, 8 foot deep. These plants should be placed in a staggered way to allow for more dense buffering and screening. What is the proposed width of the planting area along the southern lot line indicated on the site plan? Per section BB on the plan drawing 008, it is proposed to be 2 feet deep. Is that going to be adequate for the kind of plant that is being proposed? Though the statement of fact states a 2.5 foot deep landscaping buffer, and it's not carrying through in the drawings or in the rest of the drawing documents. Provide the proposed soil depth in both sections, since the planting bed along the western lot line is proposed to be sloped. So indicate the proposed height of the bed along the lot line. Along Kingsbridge Avenue frontage, provide a 4 foot high fence that is other than a chain link fence, a fence that would be compatible with residential use, a fence that would separate the drive-through lane from possible pedestrian crossing. Include specs of the fence and acoustical blocker on the plan set. Those are my comments. Vice Chair Shibata.
Thank you, Chair. Your review was very in-depth. I have nothing more to add.
Okay. Commissioner Otley Brown.
So I want to say that since this is in the extended neighborhood where I live, I'm happy to see the Riverdale Diner actually get developed into something, because it's been shuttered for I think since the pandemic,
Oh,
basically. So it has been closed and it's kind of an eyesore there. So it's nice to see that the area is going to get some new development, little sprucing up. I'm thrilled. My only concern with this has to do with the drive-through hours ending at 3:30 a.m. every single night, given the proximity to the residences. And also I have a concern about all the parking spaces that are adjacent to the drive-through lane, because that also is not far from the residences. And so my concern is there a way to at least limit the amount of people who are going to be traversing that back area during the early morning hours, either by somehow chaining off those parking spaces, so at least we're limiting the amount of people who might be just loitering in that area in their cars, listening to music, and causing some kind of a disruption for the residential neighbors? Or could they amend the hours of the drive-through so that there are less people going through that back area, and maybe only having a walk-up window where you would have to park and get out and have a walk-up window? So to do it one or the other as opposed to both. That's my only question.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Sheta.
Thank you, Chair. Again, on this case too, I wanted them to address violations. My second comment is related to the noise figures. Actually, they provided some noise analysis on the plans. I'm not sure if you looked at them, Chair, but
Noise analysis on regarding the fence?
Acoustical fence.
Okay.
yes, hold on one second. I'm trying to put on my screen. Now let me first comment on the lumen spread.
Okay.
Do you see my screen now?
No.
Not yet.
Yeah.
There we
There
go.
we go.
Yes.
Yeah. If you look at the numbers that you pointed out, Chair, the
Mhm.
4.1, I believe, this is the
Yeah.
number that you're referring to.
Mhm.
This is inside the property. If you cross to the other side, they are showing 0. And the rest of the readings, I see a number of 3.3, 3.8. But according to them, these are like inside the subject property and not on the other side of the property. And I believe they usually at 3 foot above grade. So anticipatedly, if it's at the top of the fence, it's gonna decay. And if you look at this is one of the lighting units actually, E. If this is in the back of the lighting unit, so if you look at the decay in the front, it goes actually like slower, but the decay in the back, it's much more significant. So I would anticipate that by crossing the fence at the height of the fence, lumens will drop significantly inside the adjacent property. And in addition to that, they already added some language on the fact that they are not exceeding 2-foot candles at the residential property line. So I would like them to still clarify that, but
Okay.
I just want to highlight the like the numbers that you indicated.
Okay.
Let me go to the noise study. Yeah, here.
I missed that noise propagation study.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, they added the propagation
Okay.
contours here. But what caught my eye is if you look at this distance, the horizontal one, 10 plus 10, that's 20, plus 10, that's 30, 30 plus 20, that's 50. And then we have 3 and change and about 2 feet. So the total is like 54 and change, 55. And yes, I understand in the contours that they are showing on the elevation here, the distance is measured across the diagonal here. So what I did is I took the horizontal distance and I like evaluated the vertical one, and it's the total from this point to this point is actually about 55 feet. If you look at so 55 feet to the fence, and anything beyond 55 feet should be on the adjacent property. If you look at the section here, you're gonna see that it's pointing to the 30 decibel contour, and it says it's at 64. 64 cannot be inside the subject property. It should be on the other side of the fence. So I'm not sure if this section here is to scale like we usually like ask applicants to do. I need them to clarify that as well. And in addition, they placed the 2 menu boards, noise propagation on one figure, which is okay, but I'm not sure if they added the output from both of them. Again, I'm not sure whether this is just a separate shading for the 2 menu boards or this is an additive output from the menu boards. I need them to clarify that as well. Let me see if I have anything else. Yeah, and I asked them for the same thing. It sounds like based on if you look at the output values, it sounds like if you look at let me take a look at the legend here. Starts with 60. So it's clear to me that they are utilizing an AVC system. And if this is the case, they need to like add a note that the AVC system will be on all the times. If this is not the case, they need to look at these numbers, the 60, the 54, the 48 and 42, and so on, and compare them to the actual output of the menu board without an AVC being in place and active all the time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Yuan?
Thank you. Just like Commissioner Sheta, I noticed that the section AA is still not to scale. It is improved from past submissions, but it's still not drawn to scale, which kind of dumbfounds me since this has been a consistent comment on every drive-through that we've seen with AVCs. So please revise it and draw it and use cut lines, but make it accurate. I had thought that the property lines where the chain link fence is proposed with Acousti-Block, that this would be an appropriate place for a residential quality sound attenuating fence, given its proximity to the residential neighbors, as we've seen on other drive-throughs. So I wanted to pose that for
Can you repeat the statement?
on the two property lines that are adjacent to residential uses, rather than a chain link fence with Acousti-Block, that we insist on a residential quality fence, as we've said, as we've called it before. But basically, it's usually some sort of PVC sound attenuating fence that has a nicer quality that we have often seen or asked for on other drive-throughs adjacent to residential uses.
Yes, I agree with you.
Okay. Those are my comments.
Chair,
Right.
just to
Oh.
correct the record, this is a new case. There was no previous submission on this, but if Commissioner Yun is meaning that the same engineer has submitted on different cases and we directed them to make that section to scale and they didn't apply this to this case, yes, I agree with her. And I definitely can see that the section is not to scale. If you look at the two distances, the 23 and change and the 11 and change, you can clearly see that the 11 and change on the drawing is more than the 23, which doesn't make sense scale wise. So they need to correct that. And please, if the board issue a comment on one of the cases, that doesn't mean that it doesn't apply. It applies to you, Mr. Engineer or Mr. Expert. Take that comment and apply it to other cases, please. That's less time consuming for your team and your applicant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, move on.
Yes.
Final case is 2025-28BZ, 7100 Shore Road, Brooklyn.
We received proof of initial filing and hearing notices. Community Board has voted to approve this application with conditions. Conditions were more of a concerns that were raised regarding traffic congestion, parking, construction impact, safety risks, overall neighborhood quality of life, and requesting the applicant to come up with a more sustainable commitment to explore implementable solutions. And also the community board asked that the applicant present a traffic mitigation plan to the community board no later than 60 days prior to the start of construction, and consider lowering the height of the steeples and cross. We received a letter of support from Councilmember Brennan. Also received 3 letters of opposition from neighborhoods regarding similar concerns that has been raised by the community board, which is regarding traffic congestion, noise increase from pedestrian cars, and asking for plans to manage traffic, to enforce rules and ensure residential access and safety. This is a variance application pursuant to zoning regulations section 72-21 for a bulk waiver to enlarge an existing school and which is a permitted use located at the subject site since 1953. The applicant is seeking a waiver of lot coverage that exceeds the permitted 55% and a corner lot coverage that exceeds the permitted 60%. And it's providing less than 10-foot wide front yard. No FAR waivers or height and setback waivers are being requested. So I just want to get right to what the applicant is proposing is an expansion of an existing school. And the site is split between 2 zoning districts. A bulk of the development will be happening in the portion of the zoning lot that is in the R5B district. And where currently the school has a parking lot. So basically the portion of the parking lot is going to be built. And some of the enlargement will also happen on an existing building, which is the Genesis wing. So the applicant is stating that, is everything okay, Commissioner Yoon? Okay. And the proposed building height will be 30 foot, maximum that is permitted in an R5. B is in the special district is 32 feet. and the applicant is not proposing any increase in any enrollment. The school is entitled to deference, and this is currently this is a school hosting grades 6 through 12. And the current enrollment has been steady and will be maintained. And it became a co-ed in 2016, and the student body at that time had increased by about 48%. There has been no expansion that has been made in this area. The school has pretty much maintained the current footprint since 1994. So the proposed expansion is needed to address the school's existing programmatic need, reduce the class size from 34 students to 28, expand the programmatic academic space, expand the facilities for the school's physical education program, and specifically to incorporate women's athletic programs since it became co-ed, and that way it will be in line with Title IX. School rents a lot of its facilities, spaces, physical education facility spaces, and that adds to travel time. And it also then prevents them from being able to host some activities. The applicant is also proposing to construct a new chapel to increase the capacity that is difficult to fit in a combination of other facilities. And also proposing to expand the dining facilities and improve the circulation of the classroom activities from one location to the other. It was interesting to read this part of it, that the amount of circulation time and lack of vertical circulation and other things has increased the time it takes for students and faculty to move from one classroom to the other, which definitely becomes a burden for the students and for the teachers to have an adequate amount of class time. So I won't get into a lot of the other details that's been proposed, but by and large, I think we get the gist that there is a need. There's been an enlargement of enrollment that has happened, but the building has not been improved to keep up with the enrollment increase and with the program changes, especially with the co-ed education and the new school requirements of the class size. So with that, the applicant also provided an as of right scenario to indicate where the shortfall will be. And I thought it was a very comprehensive response. And I found the programmatic statement to be very thorough and the hardship associated with the as of right development to be very clear. And it explained the reasons. And I therefore believe it meets A finding. Financial B finding is not applicable. Moving on to the C finding, which I think is the big part of this discussion that is coming from the community also. I want the applicant to provide a rendering of the proposed development and an axonometric from the south and southeast side. The waiver is for, again, I want to remind everybody, the waiver is for lot coverage and the front yard waiver. The proposed expansion is well within the maximum permitted floor area, and the enlargement along the Narrows Avenue will be of height 30 foot, similar to the built height of the homes that are fronting the Narrows Avenue. And there are 2-story homes that currently front Narrows Avenue. The enlargement over the Genesis building located in the mid-block will be 30 foot high, including the parapet. So the mix of 2- and 7-story apartment buildings that front McKay Place and 2- and 6-story buildings that front on 71st Street, I think will not be incongruous. I mean, the proposed enlargement will not be incongruous with what's built along those street frontages. And no enlargement is being proposed along Shore Road, and therefore any shadow that could at all be considered could be resulting from the proposed development will not even encroach into the parkland portion of it. Significant portion go to the floor area that is located in the mid-block, and not in the portion that is along the narrow road. So again, the building massing has been moved as much away to the inner portion of the entire block than to the exterior portion where the neighboring blocks have more of a residential homes of a lower building height. So I think overall, what the applicant is proposing to do is being very mindful of the existing context and is trying to contain the envelope as much as possible and programmatically meet the requirements where it is most needed. As I did mention, the board did receive opposition letter from the neighborhoods regarding traffic congestion during school drop-off and pickup and on-street parking. Even though the applicant is not proposing to increase the application before us is not to increase the floor area. It is well within the permitted area. And what is happening in an as-of-right manner. I would though state that the applicant, while it has stated that it is trying to secure remote location, that it can provide shuttle bus service for the staff, and that the school has been proactive in gaining additional traffic lights and calling for changed public bus routes in order to ease the congestion around the school. I want the applicant to give us an update today as to the status of these possibilities. And while the proposed again, while I acknowledge that the enlargement is just for building footprint and building and front yard and nothing to do with increase in the permitted building density, I will strongly recommend that the applicant work with the community board to address these long-standing issues that's been there even before this application came to us. So the applicant, as a good neighbor, should look towards that and try to work with that. So I would like an update from the applicant during the public hearing. I also would like to know how many school buses are used for drop-off and pickup, and where do these buses stand? Do they stand on the street, or do they go into the parking lot and drop and all the drop-off and the pickup is happening there? Is there a dedicated curbside school zone? So with regards to D finding, it's being met. With regards to minimal, the applicant is proposed enlargement is very modest, and it is modest enough to address the programmatic need of the current enrollment and the coeducational conversion. So it is very well within the build context also. So I'm very satisfied with all the findings, but with regards to the neighborhood character, I would like the applicant to provide more detail and update where possible. Those are my comments, Vice Chair Shibata.
Thank you, Chair. I believe this is a very modest application. I am familiar with the community. I'm familiar with the school. I'm familiar with the area, and I have no comments or questions for this application.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Otley Brown.
I also support this application. I think it's a modest request that will end up improving the educational experience for the existing student body. And I have no additional questions or comments.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Sheta.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with both of you, the Vice Chair and Commissioner Brown, that the request is kind of minimal and the application is modest. I have no comments, but it's just one housekeeping comment. If they can add the section identifications and locations on the plan views, that would be helpful. Thank you.
She's absent.
Yeah, she's absent.
Yeah. Okay, Commissioner Yoon is going to be absent?
No.
Okay,
Okay, so,
We're at a pause.
that's it?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this concludes the review session for November 5th, 2025.
It's 11:05. We're going to take a 10-minute break.
So
and
at 11:15,
we will resume our
public hearing. Okay, to the person whose hand is raised, when we have the public hearing and we call the case, when we open it up to the public, you'll have the opportunity to respond. Okay?
Oh, wait. There we go. Hold on. Can we get the? Can we get the, okay.
Good morning, everyone. Please bear with the board as we are tending to something. We need an additional 15 minutes, so we will proceed as soon as we can. Again, thank you for your understanding and patience. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. We're about to proceed. Ms. Matias, we are live. We are streaming. You may proceed with today's public hearing. You might want to make a note.
Oh, mic's on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know she's absent.
Yes, I am Commissioner Shida. Please put your video on.
Am I ready to call?
Mm-hmm.
Good morning. This is the New York City Board of Standards and Appeals public hearing for November 5th, 2025. We'll begin with the appeals calendar. Item number 3, 2025 35A 50-12 Highland Boulevard.
I've let Mr. Dale.
Yeah, I'll have to. Unfortunately, my camera's I'm not ready with my computer yet, but I'll call it out. Morning, Mr. Oh, it's an A case. I don't have to swear you in. Sorry.
You can if you'd like.
No, that's okay. Please
Is
state
there-
your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments at review session.
Is there anyone else from your team, Mr. Dale?
Just myself today, Chair.
Okay.
Good morning, Todd Dale for the application. I did listen to the review session and the comments of the board. We'll respond today to the issues that were raised, but we'll also follow up in a submission, in support of our position that this is not only a permitted appeal that the board can grant under the powers of the zoning resolution, but also an appropriate exercise of that power of the board. To start, just some of the more minor items. Just to confirm, there is a community board meeting scheduled for November 12th. And we're going to attend, and I'm sure that this community board will reach out with their recommendation or comments shortly after that meeting. We can submit a firm panel, but just to confirm, it is not located in a flood zone, but we'll submit the firm panel. There are also no violations issued to the site, but we can submit the Department of Buildings BIS report showing same. With respect to the core issues that were raised, the main issue is with respect to section 7201G of the zoning resolution and the bulk waivers that are requested in conjunction with this application. We would first note that we believe that 7210G is a appropriate use of a board's power here. A couple of things to note. First, we note that 7201G is specifically set aside as a separate power of the board, separate from 7210B, which is the authority of the board to grant a variance. And we'll support our position. We believe that this is a specific choice in the zoning resolution to grant the board two separate different powers. Now, one thing that we want to note, and it was actually mentioned during the review session, I believe it was Vice Chair Shabeta, apologize if somebody else had mentioned it, but there is a specific section of 7210G that says such bulk waivers shall only be as necessary to address non-compliance resulting from the location of the development or enlargement within and outside the unimproved streets, and the zoning lot shall comply to the maximum extent feasible with all applicable zoning regulations. We would note that this section specifically sets forth that when you're seeking bulk waivers, it's not only restricted to development within the street, it notes that it can be also development outside the street, and that the intent is to minimize the bulk waivers. And we believe that the proposed design that we're showing here does minimize the bulk waivers, which we'll get into in a bit.
Well, Todd, I'm glad you mentioned that. I did state that.
Your microphone's off. Your microphone's off.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Todd. I did state that.
Mr.
But I do, sorry, Mr. Dale.
That's fine.
I do think that a little more than words is going to be necessary here. I'm going to have to cite something or show some usage of it or that would permit that, because it looks like a plain reading of it may I believe doesn't rest on your case.
And Vice Chair, thank you. Mr. Dale, the board, I don't believe has confusion or disagreement with the within or without the unimproved street portion of 7201G, but there's a question there's not a question on the board side, but a disagreement with the applicant as to whether 7201G language bulk regulations affected by unimproved streets relates to a front yard on Highland. The board does not feel, it's not the board's position that a front yard bulk regulation on Highland is affected by the unimproved street of
And for that
Petersburg.
same matter, the side yard. So I think that
Say that a little louder.
I think my statement, as I understand it, and if you want to justify how this can go beyond just the immediate scope of GCL 35, you need to provide case laws and precedent cases which can support that evidence. As far as all this time that I have been on this board and what I have seen and what I understand it to be, it only applies to the portion of the zoning lot that is directly within the bed of the street where the waiver is being asked for. The only time where I have seen it go beyond the street, street bed is when the heightened setback waiver is being asked, and the waiver would have required a setback beyond a certain point, and which encroaches outside of the street bed. That is the only time where I've seen it, but that is as a result of the street bed and the location of the street wall and the setback and the sky exposure plane measurement points. So there is a direct nexus between the waivers that are being asked and the street. In this case, the front yard waiver along Highland and the side yard waivers are not at all related to the street bed. What you're asking for, in my mind, as I read it, is a 7221 variance. It is not a 7201G case. Only part where the 7201G applies is for the portion of the front yard that is on the Petersburg Avenue, which is the DMAP portion, which is the portion of the street bed that you're asking the GCL 35 for.
That's fair, and you've made that very clear, and I appreciate that. And we're prepared to make a follow-up submission in support of our argument with the intent to hopefully satisfy the board's question and persuade you that we do believe it's available. What I'd like to do.
What I would like you to do when you're submitting that, I don't want to see just the resolutions. If there are any cases, I want you to provide the plans that clearly indicate the area of the DMAP portion, area of the street bed, and the area where the encroachment has been granted. That is beyond, way beyond the street bed, nothing to do with the street bed.
That's fair, and we're prepared to do that. What I'd like to do, though, at least initially, and we'll follow up with a submission. I just would, if I can share my screen, I'd like to show the board. Let me bring this up here. Can you tell me, are you seeing this screen over here, the marked site plan?
We are.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to point out a few things here. First, we believe that the front yards, first of all, just to note here, down here at the south where it's listed as currently being an 8-foot side yard, we're going to revise the plan to make that 10 feet, which is with a required measurement, and that will remove that waiver that the board would need to grant. So we can, at least now on this site plan, ignore this section here. That'll be changed from 8 feet to 10 feet, which would remove that waiver, okay?
Okay.
That would leave the 2 front yards. Currently, as a corner lot, you have a front yard along Highland and a front yard that would be along St. Petersburg. What I did, just to clarify on the site plans, you can see the orange is the current lot, the zoning and the tax lot. The red is the outline of the building that we are proposing under this current design. And the purple, which we'll provide clearer plans, but the purple is roughly the alternate general city law 35 application that could be filed where you're developing within the privately owned lot that would meet the front yard along Highland. And what we would want to point out here is that this design and noting that the zoning lot as a whole, there really is currently only a single front yard along Highland because of the triangular nature of the lot. The only reason that 2 yards are created is because at the private owner's cost and expense, they're seeking to develop this street here, that's what creates 2 front yards instead of 1 front yard. And what we would note is that we would present that even though it is now showing as 2 front yards along Highland, that the original lot and the original design, the front yard is all along Highland. And if the board were to grant a design of the pink outline, I'm not saying that that's a, desirable building. We don't believe it's as desirable or as in character with the neighborhood as the red outline, but the board then would be granting a front yard waiver for the front yard that exists facing Highland, because that's the only front yard that exists. And what I want to show is that the difference between these 2 buildings, the reason I have these here, is that this proposed enlargement and this proposed improvement of St. Petersburg Avenue, what it does is it creates a safer entrance into the building, and it creates a situation where you have a building that's more desirable and more in character with the neighborhood. And what it does is this area here, this blue, which I'm moving, this area portion of the building here that we're proposing that would be within the front yard, and this is the green, the alternate here, which would be this alternate GCL 35 design, will provide plans that show that those 2 areas are roughly the same. And essentially, it's a relocation of floor area within the bed of the map street that we're moving over
Dale?
here.
Mr. Dale, I
Yeah.
just want to stop you right here. I think your approach is somewhat different from what the GCL is. The GCL is a zoning lot which has a mapped street that is running through the zoning lot. And therefore, you have to look at it as what the underlying zoning with a map street would be permitted, not without the map. And so I think this exercise, I'm not sure you're convincing me. So it is, what is a portion of the street that you can build as of right with the street bed in place? Work from that, not the other way around.
Okay. I just want to show, just to make it clear. I just highlighted
Because the Highland, if this was, regardless of it becoming 1 lot, what you're then asking is a demapping. You're not doing a demapping. You're asking for a GCL waiver. So we can only grant you the waiver just for that portion along the street of, and if you wanted to build on the bed of the street on that may require some additional waivers, but you're not doing that.
What we're proposing, though, is an alternate General City Law 35 design. As I said, I highlighted it to make it a little clearer on the plan here. The yellow is the boundaries of the map street, St. Petersburg.
Right.
And if we had presented an alternate design, which is something that we did look at, we could have filed a General City Law 35 appeal seeking to build the pink outline building here. However, it was deemed it was not as desirable, not only to the property owner, but to the neighborhood. This alternate design, which would then be still the only yard waivers we're seeking are the front yards. And instead of it being 1, it's now the 2, because we're creating a second front yard by the development of the street at the, expense and cost of the private property owner.
I'm not going to take too much of the time. I've made it very clear. I do not see this being a part of 7201G. You may submit all your documents to clarify and case laws and other situations which will back your argument. This analysis scenario that you're saying, where you're moving floor area that is within the bed of the triangular portion the triangular portion will capture the blue portion or whatever, that's moving floor area. That is a waiver. That is a waiver through 7221, not through 7201G.
It's not resulting from the location within and without the unimproved street. It's resulting from clients' wish to recapture available floor area.
And while I appreciate the argument of desirability and how one design may be better than another, that does not meet our findings. And that argument doesn't meet our findings. So again, I don't think we want to argue about this. I feel that you are confident that you have case law and citing, and that you could cite that, and I think that'd be best in a submission. And I think that's how we should proceed.
That's fine, I understand. I just wanted to present the initial presentation here to the board so that the board could see it, and also to note that the last thing I'll say, and then we'll follow up in a written submission because it'll be easier to view, is that by development of St. Petersburg Avenue, there was discussion about the arterial. What it does is it removes the need to put a curb cut on Highland Boulevard, which is not generally permitted under the regulations of the special South Richmond district. You remove the need for the curb cut. An alternate design would require the curb cut, which be, potentially another bulk waiver. But
Again, that's great, and other plans but we need to meet findings, and you need to help us get there if you can.
Right. And I would say the statement of fact is very scant with regards to detail and information. So the amount of information that you provided is more than what we got from the document. So if you need to convert those into statement of facts and state those, provide graphics, provide an as-of-right plan, provide what you're proposing to, and more importantly, it's not what you believe. I want it to be supported by case laws and evidences that can back up your position.
That's fair. I understand. I just wanted to present that so the board had an initial understanding of what our position was, because I think it helps provide context for when you do receive the written submission.
Okay.
Of course.
All right.
Sure.
Thank you. Should we go to the public? Any other questions for Mr. Dale? Okay, let's go to the public.
Okay, the case that we're currently discussing is 2025-35A 5012 Highland Boulevard, Staten Island. Should you wish to comment on this application, please dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you will enter the webinar ID number 161-660-4214. Press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you will press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you will press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute as you're calling in on the phone. And if you're in the Zoom room already and wish to participate, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you're recognized, you'll have 3 minutes in which to comment on this application. How much time you'll need, Mr. Dale?
For this, because we do want to take time to review the property owner and to supplemental submission, we can be flexible with the board's calendar, but I would say if we could submit later in December for a January hearing, that would be ideal. Depending on what the board's schedule is.
For second hearing in January?
January 27th would be, the submission would be January 9th.
Great.
That'll work for you, Mr. Dale? January 27th?
That works for us because it gives sufficient time to review this and modify it as required.
Okay. I don't see anybody's hands
No,
raised for the hearing.
clock still got 11 seconds. Wait,
Can you count it down, Tony?
I'm sorry. No, what am I doing? Wrong. I have the wrong calendar, sorry. January 8th, I'm sorry, Mr. Dale, it's January 8th is submission date.
January 8th and January 27th, you said, I believe?
Yes, 26th or 27th.
Understood. Thank
I
you.
don't know what dates he'll put you on.
Since we have our fire department chief, if there is any comments or anything you have, you may want to submit that later on, or. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, zoning calendar, new cases. Item number 4, 2025-25 BZ, 2456 Richmond Avenue, Staten Island.
Who will it be?
This is Gates, it's Jennifer sorry, I can't pronounce. Mazaway.
Mazawi? Okay. Jennifer Mazawi. Who else? Is there anyone else from your team, Ms. Mazabi?
Wait, she's muted. She's muted.
She's muted.
Oh, Ethan Shakowski. Oh, pardon the pronunciation of these names. I apologize.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Is there anyone else besides the other person, Edward?
And Rebecca Bodine, please.
Rebecca Bodine.
So it should be Ethan Chikoski and Rebecca Bodine.
Chakowski. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, wait till everyone's ready. Please unmute. Mr. Chakowski and Ms. Bodine, please unmute. Okay, raise your right hands, all of you. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond to board member questions?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay, so whoever is the lead, please state your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments at review session.
Yes, good morning, commissioners. My name is Jennifer Mazaway. I am an attorney with K&L Gates, and I appreciate the time this morning to discuss the application of Raising Cane's for an eating and drinking establishment with a drive-through located in 2456 Richmond Avenue, Staten Island. So we listened to the comments of commissioners this morning on the Staten Island matter. There were a few that we would like to go through. One had to do with clarifying the signs that are located on the property. In particular, I believe there was a comment about stop signs, and if it would help the board, and I think it might, I'd like to have Rebecca share a rendering of the site plan that we've submitted that we can then we can show the board there are in fact some signs already located on the property. And then we can hopefully we can put that question or comment to bed, but to the extent we can't, we certainly would update the plans. So if Rebecca, if you could share with the board the location of any particular stop signs at our drive-through, at our driveways rather.
Of course. Anywhere that we have a stop sign, stop bar, we also have stop sign or the painted stop, and then the stop bar, we also have signage. I know it kind of blends in a little bit here. This was the do not enter signage that was referenced as well. So for anything that that helps, you know, clarify what the traffic operations are entering and leaving the site, we'll call those out explicitly.
Right. So thank you for pointing that out. It wasn't clear from the plan. So wherever you have these proposed stop signs posted, indicated in the plan what that stop sign is, what that sign is for. Is it for do not enter, right turn only, you know, all various kind of traffic movement directional question. I have one question, and that is there is another but it's not a stop sign where the pedestrian crossing is happening to enter the building. Is there will there be a stop bar there and a stop sign, and will it be before right where that, yeah, it says do not enter. It's actually that it's not very clear from the graphics because I think the 69.6 foot overlay has blocked the do not enter. So revise the plan accordingly. Do you see that where you have your arrow exactly?
Yeah.
So I think the overlay may have eliminated that, but is there there also should be a stop sign which and it should say stop there so that someone who is driving past the drive-through knows that they have to stop for pedestrian to cross, and so that's just a.
Okay, we'll make it clear that's dual faced for D&E and then stop.
Yeah. Wait, is Commissioner Shutter on the road? Yes, Commissioner Shutter is in the room. Three of them. We have to stop.
Also, Rebecca, on this plan, there was a comment regarding the bus
So
shelter.
can you please hold? Can you please hold on?
It's right there.
Sorry, we need to have a quorum of 3 commissioners
Physically in the.
physically in the space for our hearing.
I was parched, I apologize.
Okay, all right, you may continue.
Is he?
Thank you,
know.
Chair. I was asking Rebecca if on this plan, is it indicated, there was a question with regard to the bus shelter that exists?
Yeah, so it's not indicated explicitly. It's certainly something that we can note. The bus shelter is located right here. We are not intending on removing it or replacing it. We have already reached out to DOT, coordinated with them our proposed curb cut location within the bus pad itself. Again, it's a little difficult to tell on this plan. I do have the builder's pavement plan up as well. That makes it a little bit more clear where the pad is going to be and then the shelter to remain.
So no proposal to relocate the bus shelter?
No, and we'll make sure that we're coordinating directly with DOT as we move through construction.
Okay. Thank you.
Rebecca, there was also, excuse me, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
There was also a question with regard to the landscaping on Richmond Avenue, or more a comment than a question, with regard to bulking up, if you will, the landscaping that we're showing along Richmond Avenue. I guess this is a great rendering of the site plan. So could you briefly share with the board what we have here already, and then indicate our willingness to increase some of that landscaping, please?
Of course. So we're gonna sod majority over here. I think this is where it was indicated of being a little bit sparse. 2 rows of evergreen, kind of wrapping around the property, just alongside any of the drive lanes. I will say we are going to keep all the existing vegetation that's mature along the back side of the property that kind of blends into the parks, the adjacent park. Row alongside here of the arborvitaes, and then yeah, I mean, from the standpoint of sight lines, we'll make sure that we're accommodating that. You know, I know there's a concern about pedestrians walking back and forth across here. Would it be acceptable for us to increase the amount of plantings as opposed to necessarily fencing it out?
I would be okay with that.
Can you explain that? Where would that be? Because I'm more concerned about pedestrians. Yeah, so from that corner and also from the bus stop area, that's where you're going to see most amount of pedestrian flow.
And then over here. So we'll bulk this area up and make it so that there's obstructions and people can't walk back and forth.
They want to walk the bushes.
Yeah, as long as they're very dense and are maintained in a way where you don't end up having sparse areas, and then that becomes a place for collection of debris and also for people to walk. So, and that's why I also recommend that fence be put also, so it becomes a double deterrence for anybody wanting to walk through the space.
So it's not acceptable to just use additional landscaping as obstructions.
I think of course, the more dense you make, and with that, a good maintenance plan to maintain these shrubs in a continuous manner, consistently year-round, would be a plus. It is very difficult for us, once a project is built, it is very difficult for anybody to monitor on a day-to-day basis from our agency or from DOB, how many shrubs are there on site and how many shrubs need to be replaced. So I like the belt and suspender method, which is you not only provide the green, the robust amount of greening that is needed in terms of beautification, nature, preserving land, for water retention, all of those factors, those are all good things. In addition, provide a fence. That way, you know, off chance for seasonal reasons, you don't have planting, you're basically making sure nobody would cross the zone.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Finally, I think the final comment that I just wanted to touch on today was the AVCs, Rebecca. And so if you could share where, I guess, their location, and I think there's a question about as to how many.
Yeah, so there's 2. We always will have sound, the AVCs on. Those will never be turned off.
Okay. All right.
Are the shading shown in the plan additive or just for separate menu boards?
They're separate, Commissioner. We recently had an application where we did additive, so this will be updated to reflect that.
Thank you. And you're gonna update the section as well, of course.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, we heard that comment here and in the next application as well.
I'm not that concerned with this particular case since it does not about any residential use. And if you're providing it, it's there for the record, but I'm glad you're factoring this into your next case also.
Yeah, and I believe that is the totality of the comments we heard on this matter. I think Commissioner Sheta asked us in our resubmission to just confirm that there is no outstanding violations. We will do that in our next submission. There was a question or a comment to fix any discrepancies between the statement of facts and the plans, and to add some notes with regard to the curb cuts on Richmond Avenue and the sidewalk restoration. We will do that in a resubmission, but I believe we've answered all of the comments.
Ms. Benke?
Hi, there was also EAS some comments issued from staff on the EAS, and can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
On the traffic study, I was wondering if you have an update on that.
Yes, we will. We had updates already prepared, but wanted to wait until after the hearing to ensure that we combined all of the comments of the commissioners along with those comments, Ms. Benke. So
Great.
we will answer those comments in our submission.
Okay, great, thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, let's go to the public.
So the case that we're currently discussing is 2025 BC 2456 Richmond Avenue, Staten Island. Should you wish to comment in this application, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you'll enter the webinar ID number 161-660-4214 and press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you'll press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute as you're calling in on the phone. And if the Zoom room are ready and wish to comment, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you're recognized, you'll have 3 minutes in which to comment on this application.
And you'll also, I noticed that you have on page 008, drawing sheet 008, the plant schedule. So you'll update that also based on the additional landscaping that you will be proposing.
Correct.
How much time will you need to make all these corrections?
I think we could make those changes fairly rapidly. We'd appreciate an opportunity to come back to the board in January.
Okay. January second half or first half? There are 2 hearings in January. One is the
January 12th, 13th, that would be a 12/29 submission, and the 26th, 27th will be a January 8th submission.
I think based on the level of changes that are needed for the comments, we would be able to get in a submission by 12/29 to make that January, I'm sorry, did you say 15/16?
12/13.
12/13 to make that 12/13 hearing date. Rebecca, any objection to that before I?
No objection.
Thank you.
and also you'll have to revise the environmental comments.
Correct. And those are already underway, Chair.
And I would suggest do the environmental comments and review very quickly. The reason I'm saying is this. Do you have any concerns with closing this case?
I do not have concerns.
Okay. So
But I don't believe we have a community board yet on this. So I think we can close.
Vice Chair, we did meet the community board here.
We do. We have a
and-
community board
and-
approval.
and we're approved.
Oh, great.
It was approved. It was a
And
unanimous.
I think we should close.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to recommend that we close this because the findings have been met and the corrections that need to be done is more of improvements and embellishments. as we have discussed. But the environmental review needs to be revised. So I'm going to, even though you're saying 13 January, the environmental review has to be submitted as quickly as possible so that all the comments can be incorporated and reviewed. Because without the environmental sign off, we cannot make a decision. We cannot vote on. So keep that in mind. If you
Yes.
think you need the 2nd January hearing, do let our project manager know as soon as possible so that we can hold a space for you for the next hearing.
Okay, I do not think that'll be necessary, but yes, we will tell you if that changes, we will let you know immediately.
My job is to kind of lay out the issues and it's for you to figure out a solution.
Understood.
All right.
Motion to close?
Motion to close.
Chair Shanda,
Aye.
Vice Chair Shabeta,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to stay up because I'm on the next case as well.
Okay, but I still have to swear you in.
Okay, that's fine.
Item number 5, 2025-27 BZ, 3657 Kingsbridge Avenue, the Bronx. Okay, and,
Is it the same team?
It is the same team.
okay, everyone raise your right hands. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Okay, please state your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments at review session.
Thank you. And thank you, board, for having the time for us today. My name is Jennifer Mazaway, and that's Mazawey. I'm an attorney with K&L Gates, and we're representing Raising Cane's for this application for an eating and drinking establishment with drive-through located in Kingsbridge section of the Bronx. Before I begin on comments, I do have a question or a clarifying question. Chair, I heard you indicate that there had been an objection letter received from a neighboring property owner.
We will share that with you.
Thank you. And was there only one? I heard one, but others in my team thought there may have
It
been.
was it was a conglomerate. They represented, it was one letter that represented 3 agencies. I can,
Yeah, we can,
let me,
27, right?
it's limits, I believe. Oh,
2025.
Yeah, I think it was from the property owner that owns, limited authority is the entity or limits.
limits.
Oh, is that Limits Petroleum?
Yeah, Limit
The Limits Petroleum.
Petroleum Inc. And they are the fee owner of this, of the,
Damn it, I can't get it.
Of the property that is across the street from you.
right.
That includes a Wendy's, a
Yeah,
I think we're all trying to look for it. We can't open it.
Okay.
yeah.
In addition to that, were there others? Were there others from residents?
We didn't receive any other objections beside that one letter.
Okay. Okay, great. So
Well-
once that is located, if that could be shared with us, obviously that would be very helpful.
We will share that with you. Our project manager will share it with you. And this letter was sent, when was it sent?
This letter was submitted October 29,
October
2025.
29th, yeah,
It's Limits Petroleum, who is the owner of the site.
of the property located
see.
at 5805
5
Broadway,
Bronx.
Yeah.
block 5765, lot 710.
But if you go at the very end of the letter, you'll see that she's representing a group.
Yeah,
Cab Holdings or something, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Ugh,
yeah.
really.
We will share
confused me.
this with you. I'm sorry, we're
We're gonna ask our project manager to forward you the
Yeah.
the letter.
That would be helpful. Thank you. And so getting to the board's comments, I think we'll talk about them maybe thematically. One had to do with the hours of operation. And I think there were several comments, but all related to hours of operation. So Raising Cane's typically has their hours of operation until 3:30 a.m. And that's in large part to serve the third shifters, as they're called, and certainly first responders, those folks that are finishing a late shift. And we do understand that McDonald's is open 24 hours. The other restaurants, quick service restaurants in the vicinity are open typically until 2 a.m. And we also heard Commissioner Otley Brown's particular comments about concerns about loitering. What we would propose and what we would ask for the board's guidance on is closing the interior of the restaurant at 2 a.m., which we believe would answer any concerns with regard to loitering in the parking lot past that, and then leaving only the drive-through open until 3:30 a.m. Again, to serve that population that we typically see coming to our restaurant at those hours.
So you wouldn't have a walk-up window where
Correct.
you,
After we would close that for 2 a.m., Commissioner, understanding the point that perhaps we wouldn't want folks outside of their car or walking around at that time to the restaurant.
I know because at the McDonald's, they have a large portion of mobile order fillers, like the Uber Eats guys. And at night, they all congregate in the parking lot waiting for the orders to come through. And while McDonald's is kind of in a commercial zone with no residential around it, it still gets pretty disruptive around there if you ever go around 11, 12 o'clock at night. And I just didn't want to see that kind of disruption behind your building adjacent to the residences.
So would it answer that concern if we put them in the drive-through?
I have less concern if you're only having the drive-through at that time.
So if I understand, Commissioner, you're suggesting that you're okay with having the drive-through till 3 a.m., but not the pickup.
Right, not having both, because
Not
to
having-
me, it would be just very intensive at that time of night in the backyard of the residences. So if it's just the drive-through and there's no mobile order people on motorcycles that are sitting around and waiting to go to the walk-up window, I think that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. So we will, we'll update certainly our plans and in our next submission to reflect that. With regard to some traffic comments and traffic adjacent comments, I'm going to ask Rebecca again to maybe pull up the plan for this site. There were a number of different comments here, and one had to do with the chair mentioned the discrepancy between 10 parking spots and 12 parking spots. We mentioned 12 parking spots in our submission, I believe in our statement of facts, but you only saw 10. And I think what may not have been readily seen is when you enter the parking lot from Kingsbridge, Chair, there are 2 parallel parking spaces that Rebecca has just put a bubble around. And so I think those may have been missed.
The
in
way
the
of
review.
vehicles entering then? Do you have enough clearance for 2 pass-by lanes and a driving space?
Rebecca, is this a you question or perhaps that's an Ethan question? I think it's a you.
We ran truck turns just to make sure that this would be viable. Obviously, if someone's pulling into the spot at the time, person's not going to be able to go around them, but once they park, they'll be able to proceed.
Okay, you need to do a maneuverability plan to show with those vehicles parked there, would you be able to access and ingress at the same time? I saw that in the maneuverability plan, and that's why I didn't count them.
Yeah, I think there was also discussion about having those primarily for employees of the restaurant too.
That is correct.
Be that as it may, I still would be concerned about I don't know if you have the clearance. That's really what I'm concerned about. And so I think when you do your maneuverability plan, you need to show that you have enough clearance with 2 vehicles parked there. And if you have an employee parking, that's fine. Maybe you mark it as employee parking only. That way no customers will ever park there. And that would be one of the requirements.
Okay, we will, we'll submit a maneuverability plan, and take those comments under advisement. We'll show something in our resubmission, Chair. But sticking on, I guess, traffic and traffic adjacent, you had a question about us using an inconsistent or an address we were using as not consistent. Were you talking about the Wendy's address that we used for purposes of our traffic review? We weren't sure.
So, right, okay, so maybe yeah, so when I was reading the report, you used the Wendy's traffic count to identify the peak period and also for modal split, right?
Correct.
And based on the modal split, there is a fairly high percentage of customers that will be walking to the site. And so it's basically, it seems it would be above 46% that will be walking to this site. Generally, in a lot of drive-throughs, we see a very small percentage walking to the site, like the Richmond one that we just discussed. There'll be almost negligible amount that will be walking to the site. Mostly it'll be driving to the site.
Right.
In this case, is the percentage, and because of its proximity to the subway station, there's a high percentage of people who will be walking to the site. And then there is the remaining that would be drive-throughs, parking, sitting, or pickup, and will be using vehicular modes to access the site. So with that in mind, when I'm looking at then the split of, so you start with that analysis, but then you jump immediately, the analysis jumps immediately to the fact that you will have a 70-30 split of drive-through and pickup. What I would need to know, and you did provide a summary chart all the way in the appendix. And when I went through the appendix and I was looking at the summary chart, you said that, well, based on the report, you're projecting 45 to 46% that will be walking in your case. But when I'm looking at the summary report, in some days, on some days, that percentage is a lot higher. It's close to 50% and 61% on weekday PM and Saturday midday. So I think you're just kind of hurting yourself in your analysis when you're not factoring that in. So in your analysis, I would like you to break down the modal split a lot more clearly as to what you project the modal split to be for the AM, PM, weekdays, and Saturday midday peaks. And then from that indicate all of the total that would be driving through, the split would be 70-30 for the drive-through versus the parking. So I think that jump to me was a little incongruous and inconsistent and did not help your argument in an area where you are anticipating more pedestrian. And this also in light of, as I'm reviewing the opposition letter.
Okay, understood. Ethan, are we able to do that in a follow-up?
Yeah, I think that's more appropriate in a follow-up. I think we're on the same page and you understand where we were going and the basis of some of our calculations, but we can clear up, how we came to those numbers and expand on it as you suggest.
Yeah. And I think you need to read the letters that we received. So I think that'll also help you. But I think regardless of that letter, I mean, my comment, I reviewed this before I even received that letter. You need to kind of methodically kind of go through the modal breakdown. In this case, it is very different from the Richmond site.
Yeah, agreed. And I think there was a reference to the statement of facts where Raising Cane's had mentioned that they typically see a 70-30 split. Of course, that was of people who are driving, because most of their sites are more like this application than this.
And in this case, you're going to expect, unlike your typical Raising Cane, you're going to see a lot more foot traffic also.
Right, exactly, agreed.
Right.
Which is an interesting one. Raising Cane will have to learn how to work in New York City with walking.
Yes.
So the next comments I think we'd like to address have to do with the noise. I think there were a couple of comments that were already discussed internally among the commissioners that we had provided some noise information in one of our and one or two of our sheets. We have heard from the commissioners, we'll revise the section, and we will also, as Rebecca pointed out in our last hearing, add the noise from the two at the same time. But I think there were some questions also about notes that we already have with regard to the ACV here. Rebecca, we do have a note on the plan with regard to that, if that's correct.
We have three signs here, here, and here.
Those are the, so Chair, to your comment, these are the good neighbor signs. They are proposed. So absolutely no objection or no problem with having those. They were proposed. They just were not, they perhaps were not delineated strongly or boldly on the plans, but they are there.
Okay.
This is not the note that we're talking about, I believe. The one that relates to the AVC should say that the AVC is there, it's utilized, and it's gonna stay on all the time.
Yes, and I think that may be here, Commissioner.
Let me take a look.
Let's-
Which note? I have 5 notes here.
Okay, so it is the menu board detail sheet. What number is this? Rebecca, what sheet number?
BSA 0.
Number 5. No,
No,
it does not.
it's not in the 5 notes. I just looked at them, and I looked
It's
at them
not.
before. It's not. It might be on the section, but even if it's on the section, please add him to the 5 notes. And I don't see him on the section as well. Actually, I looked at the statement also, and the statement doesn't have any mention of AVC.
Okay,
I guess that you're utilizing the AVC based on the decibel levels that were shown on the plan and the section. If the AVC is absent, they should be like way more than that. The maximum you have right now in the legend is 60 decibels. But if AVC is absent, it should be up to like 80 something.
Okay, actually, it is there, Commissioner Sheta. It's not the numbered ones. It's in the box, which it's actually incorrectly stated ACV. It should be AVC.
Yeah, we'll fix that.
So that's the note.
It's in where, Chair? I'm sorry.
it's sheet BSA 020.00.
Okay.
Menu board sound exhibit, AVC.
see it, it's highlighted.
We had it improperly as ACV, but to be on at all times.
It's the notes.
Okay. What were you saying?
The menu board sound notes are there.
Yeah, the menu note soundboards are there, but just to correct the AVC statement and yes,
Bless her.
bless you. And I just noticed once you highlighted it, zoomed in, I do not see the drawing sealed, signed and sealed. Please submit all plans signed and sealed.
Yeah, I see that. I see the note. Yes, I see it
Okay.
now.
The submitted plans are signed and sealed. I just pulled up
They are, yes.
recent plans in our documents.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Also add the note that in the statement of fact that AVC will be on at all times.
Yeah, revised statement of facts.
And in the revised statement of facts. And I just want to be clear, both in the previous application and this one, whenever we are asking you to make any corrections, it should be reflected also in the statement of facts and not just in the plans.
Okay,
Thank you. And in this case, because you have done the traffic study, your traffic report also needs to be corrected to be consistent with what's, your analysis in the traffic report is carried into in a summary form in the statement of facts. So all of those documents need to be revised.
and Chair, could we do that by way of a supplement to the already submitted plan, traffic report, or should it be a brand new?
No, it doesn't have to be a.
Are you asking if it's an addendum to the?
Yes, an addendum. I said, I used the word supplement, but yes, an addendum.
Because typically I want to see the final report. It would be easier for future board members to refer to these documents rather than looking for addendums and if they get misplaced. So I want to see a complete report which revised all the revised elements.
It's
Okay.
easier from all aspects. Edit the existing report, much easier than adding an addendum and coordinating that addendum with the text. And in the meantime, at the end of the day, we can have a final version of that report in our records and in your records as well.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Let's focus on the next part of the question of lighting
Yes.
and the fencing and the landscaping.
So as Rebecca pulls up I think she's gonna pull up the lighting plan. And if you can zoom in on this, Rebecca. So and Commissioner Sheta had mentioned this during the work session earlier. At the residential portion of the property line, once we hit the residential lot line, the lighting is at 0. So it does not exceed the lumen levels on our neighboring properties. And I think that he actually pointed to a fixture E, which Rebecca can talk a little bit more about, but that light is shielded from behind so that the light spillage is minimized. And as we indicated, between the shielding and then the fence that's proposed on the residential side of that property line, those lumen levels drop to 0.
Is there a note in the plan which states that lighting will be shielded?
It's for this specific pole to protect it from the residential side. And so in the schedule, we
Okay.
reference that, so
Okay.
it has to show with it.
Got it. Thank you.
So staying back there at that residential property line, Rebecca, there was discussion about the fence that we had proposed. We had proposed a chain link with Acousta block for this site. Raising Cane's has in other restaurants and in other applications before the BSA has agreed on a different spec for a fence. And in particular, we used it in a Laurelton and some other locations as well. And so we would propose to use that same type of fence here. We could submit a spec with our revisions to show, but it has been accepted by this board on some other projects.
Okay.
And we'll submit that spec when we do our resubmission.
I'm looking at one of the sections, section BB actually, on BSA-008. And it's showing the fence, but I'm not sure. Oh, it says 10 feet,
It says
10 feet height,
It says
chain link with acoustic.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you proposing 10 feet for both, like for the chain link and the acoustic block?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
The Acousta block will be applied to the entire chain link fence.
And in this case, especially this section is for the portion of the property that is abutting all the residential lots. And the ground is going to be raised. So there will be, it will be 10 plus whatever the portion of the ground that is going to be raised. So in this particular one, I would like you to show the sectional depth of the soil. And same for the other one also, where I think it's too narrow for a robust kind of planting. Yeah, that's too narrow for a plant's bulb to even survive. So please look into that.
We'll confirm viability, yes.
And that was staying on this section. That had been also another comment of yours, Chair, was perhaps a discrepancy between 2 feet and 2.5 feet for planting purposes here.
Yeah.
And I believe, Rebecca, the curb to curb or property line to curb is 2.5 feet, but the space available for the plantings would only be 2 feet. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
We will update our plans to show the height of the trash enclosure as well as the gate materials. That's not a problem. With regard to the Kingsbridge Avenue side, there was a request here with regard to include a fence. Rebecca, could you show, I think, Chair, we are proposing a guardrail in this area to minimize, pedestrian conflict. And I don't know if maybe that was not
Yeah,
seen or not called out.
Clear. And
Yeah, it just kind of blends in, unfortunately.
okay, why do you need to do a guardrail?
Because of the proximity to the drive-through.
Wouldn't a fence be a better one? It would be more in keeping with the context.
I think would we get the same protection, Rebecca, from a fence as we would from this guardrail?
I mean, not the same protection from vehicular traffic, but from pedestrian traffic, yes.
Excuse me, is Eileen Welsh part of your team?
Yes, she is.
Oh, she's asking to be let in, and let's.
Oh, no, I don't,
Oh, okay,
I don't think so. Maybe by accident.
okay, amen.
I mean, you may want to just along the corner, you can have the fence and you can just provide the guardrail just where the bend is. If you want to protect the vehicles to stay, that could be one thing. Just provide the guardrail where the bends are and then have the fence along the lot line. I see Miss Walsh's hand raised. Does she need to speak? Because if we need to swear her in.
Is she part of the team?
Is she part of your team?
Well, Eileen, who's raised their hand. I don't believe it's Eileen Welsh because she's sitting next to me, but somebody else may have used her.
Ms. Welsh, when Ms. Welsh, you will not be allowed to speak until I open it up to the public. So please put your hand down.
Wait, so
I'm not going to unmute you or anything. We're not going to allow you to speak until after the discussion.
So Miss Walsh is sitting next to you, but she didn't raise her hand to speak.
I believe another member of my team may have used Miss Welsh's link to gain access. I think that might be Melissa Brotchell, who is our real estate development manager for Raising Cane's.
Okay, does she need to speak? Does she need to speak?
I believe she might be seeking to speak with regard to this issue of the fence versus the guardrail. That is my assumption here.
All right.
Perhaps we can rename her, or if I have opportunity.
Swear her in, let her.
Okay, can you unmute and present yourself with video so that I can swear you in, please? Hi,
Good morning.
Your name?
Melissa Brochel with Raising Cane's.
Melissa Brocha. Okay, please raise your right hand. Oh, sorry. How do you spell your last name?
B as in boy, ROTSCHUL.
Melissa. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Please proceed.
Thank you very much for admitting me. I just wanted to put my 2 cents in here in regards to having a fence versus having a guardrail. Rebecca, would you mind pulling up the signage plan for me that shows the mural? I understand that this is, sort of a newer brand that's coming into the area, and we are proposing the guardrail rather than a fence to be able to show visibility to the building. We do understand that there's going to be a lot of foot traffic, but there is a very specific mural that we put in the drive-through area that would potentially have visibility issues if there was a fence there. So just wanted to see if there was any way that we could get away with a guardrail rather than having something that may, cause issues with visibility to some of the exterior features of the building. Certainly not opposed to the fence, but just wanted to see if that was an option for the
The kind
guardrail.
of fence I was going to suggest was not an opaque fence. It would be more like the kind of wrought iron fence that one sees on a residential front yard. So it would be no more than 4 foot high, wrought iron fence type of thing with gaps in between. So it's very transparent. It is just to kind of keep physically people from walking from the sidewalk through the driveway and also making sure that the vehicles kind of stay within their lane. So
That being said, this mural, can we see can we see a rendering of it?
But I also want to be very
could be
mindful of the
signage.
fact that the it's could be signage. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's really, if it's a mural and if it's a sign, and it reads like a sign, then it may not meet your signage requirements. So if it's an artwork, it's a different thing.
It's hand painted onto the building.
Rebecca, can you
Well,
bring that up?
Is a piece of art.
Correct.
And signage is something that would make a consumer know the product. So we need to be a bit cautious on what we're calling it, and we need to see a rendering of it. But we can certainly have that in submission. We don't need to do that right now. I just want you guys to be mindful of it and have a note of that.
Yeah.
Understood. We did a similar type of artwork at the Laurelton location as well. And it's typical standard signage for Raising Cane's. It is painted onto the building.
And it's part of your signage calculation.
Yes, it is. But I don't think the fence that I'm proposing is any way going to block that.
The fence that you're proposing is more just to mitigate the pedestrian traffic crossing over
Yeah.
any type of barrier into the drive-through lane?
Yeah, it would be more, go ahead.
And I mean, I think the board's suggesting that a fence could replace the dimensions of the guardrail that's being proposed. A fence is just much more respectful of the neighborhood context than a guardrail.
Understood.
And again, it's a transparent design. It's not something that's going to block the visibility of
Okay, just wanted to make sure. We're not opposed to doing the fence, just wanted to see if the guardrail was an option still, but if fence is preferred, we're okay with that.
I would strongly recommend a fence along that frontage of Kings Bridge. And if you want to have guardrail for added protection for just the bend, so that the vehicles are in lane, you could just add the guardrail just along that corner if you want to. That's a more of a design solution for you to figure out, or you can even bend the fence around that corner to keep and not have to do both. You could do.
We'll talk to our design team, but I think, one rather than having both is certainly, more appealable. So we'll talk to our design team and work through that.
Yeah.
Thank you for admitting me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. I mean, Eileen. And I think the last set of comments that I was able to take down from this morning's work session had to do with trash pickup and deliveries. I'm glad Melissa is here just in case we need further input. But what I understand is we don't have control over scheduling those, either the trash pickup or the deliveries. We use regional haulers and regional delivery company for those. However, they do happen off hours when the restaurant is closed. But we would not be able to schedule, for instance, a 4 a.m. or a 5 a.m. delivery or trash pickup per se, because they do service multiple locations, not only Raising Cane's, but also probably many of our quick service restaurant neighbors that use the same.
Miss Mezaway, that's all I wanted to know. When is the delivery pickup happening? Is it conflicting with the vehicular movements that's happening on the site? It is not. It seems it's happening at off-peak hours. And
Correct.
When the business is not in operation. That's what I wanted to know. Okay. And
Yes,
that's
correct.
to be in the statement of facts.
Okay, we will do that. I think that's all of the comments that we heard from the board this morning?
Yep. Okay, unlike the previous one, this one, we do need to see a lot of those corrections and revisions and consider it before we can consider closing it. So this will need to be continued, but before I do that, I need to go to the public.
So Andrew Tuck is in the room, so
Okay.
that's the opposition. The case that we're currently discussing is 2025-27BZ 3657 Kingsbridge Avenue, the Bronx. Should you wish to comment on this application, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, enter the Weber ID number 161-660-4214 and press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute as you're calling in on the phone to be heard. And if you're in the Zoom room already, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you're recognized, you'll have 3 minutes to discuss.
I have Andrew Tuck. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing the name properly.
Yes.
Okay.
Is he in?
Yeah, should be. Go ahead, Mr. Tuck.
Okay.
Am I pronouncing your last name properly?
Yes, you're saying my last name properly, and please let me know when I'm granted to speak, but thank you.
You can state your name for the record and speak. You'll have 3 minutes.
Absolutely. My name is Andrew Tuck. I serve as General Counsel for Yellow Cab Holdings, and I'm also an authorized representative today for Lemoltz Petroleum, who is the landlord at this location. But in my primary work, I serve on behalf of the tenant at 5805 Broadway.
Okay, please state what you came to say today.
Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to speak at this hearing. I'm here to object to the applicant's project on the grounds that the drive-through permit would cause excessive congestion, traffic, and noise, impacting the safety and quality of life in the area for both commercial businesses and local residents. On behalf of the business and landlord located at 5805 Broadway, I am here to unequivocally oppose the proposed drive-through lane for a Raising Cane's restaurant at 3657 Kingsbridge Avenue. The application, if approved, would not merely alter the local landscape, it would upend it. The area of Kingsbridge Avenue and Broadway is already one of the most heavily trafficked corridors in the Northwest Bronx. Kingsbridge serves as an access point to several quick service restaurants and establishments, including Wendy's, McDonald's, Domino's Pizza, and a car wash. Several of these restaurants operate from early morning to past midnight, 7 days per week. Patrons of these businesses use Kingsbridge as an access point to the properties. Often during peak periods, vehicles build and stack on the street, waiting to access these establishments while also blocking vehicles which are parked on both sides of Kingsbridge. Introducing an additional high-volume drive-through operation at this location is a recipe for gridlock, chaos, and community disruption, including excessive noise. The streets surrounding Kingsbridge Ave are not built for the kind of vehicular surge a Raising Cane's drive-through would generate. Delivery trucks for existing businesses must navigate tight lanes and limited curb space. Adding a drive-through queue spilling into the street would bring this fragile traffic ecosystem to a standstill. As a background, the project is filed on behalf of Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's is a fast food chicken franchise, fast food chicken company that has some of the largest sales volumes in the quick service restaurant industry, with annual sales in excess of $5.1 billion and average unit sales of nearly 7 million. The applicant's projected customer order volume of about 850 orders per day seems very low. By comparison, McDonald's has an average unit volume per location of $4 million. Given the expected customer volume from Raising Cane's, the premises and the surrounding streets would be overwhelmed by vehicles, noise, congestion, and traffic. The premises and the surrounding streets, including Kingsbridge and 238th Street, are not equipped to accommodate the demand from Raising Cane's without significant traffic mitigation measures. Given Raising Cane's sales volume, traffic mitigation measures would likely fail at this site. Other communities outside of New York City have complained by the extreme traffic and noise a Raising Cane's location causes within their communities. The businesses in this area have operated responsibly in the community for years, balancing the needs of customers, local residents, and with the realities of urban congestion. The businesses have managed parking and maintained clean surroundings. A Raising Cane's drive-through threatens to destabilize the balance by siphoning traffic volume onto the already overburdened streets, creating chaos and noise that affects all nearby businesses and local residences. We urge the BSA to use its authority to reject this drive-through special permit application because the site cannot accommodate the traffic. This neighborhood is not a suburban highway. It's a living, breathing community with residential and commercial sites that deserve protection from unnecessary noise, pollution, and congestion. Granting this permit would jeopardize the community's stability. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We-
Any other speaker who wants to speak for the, regarding this case? Please raise your hand.
This case is 2025-27BZ 3657 Kingsbridge Avenue, the Bronx.
So I advise in writing that the applicant respond to the comments that were made by Mr. Tupch. And I have nothing further.
Yeah. I think I just want to note that this area is zoned for high-intensity commercial use. And what is proposed is an as-of-right eating and drinking establishment with an accessory drive-through facility, which has been permitted before prior to City of Yes.
And was also a diner.
And was a diner, yeah. So, okay. Thank you again. Anyone else who wants to speak? If not, please, you can make your submission in writing if you don't wish to speak. Okay, applicant team, how much time do you need to respond to all these questions and comments and the questions and concerns that's been raised by the opposition?
I'm gonna go to my team one more time and ask, do you think we could get a submission in by 12/29 in order to potentially?
I would just take your time to do this thing thoroughly.
Okay. There was another January hearing that had a January 8th submission deadline.
Yeah.
The 26, 27, usually the 27th you'll probably be on, would be January 8th submission.
Ethan, I know this has a, a good amount to do with, work for you, or with regard to the traffic. Is that an okay date?
You said January 8th is the deadline for submission?
Correct.
Yeah, there's a February hearing, which is a January 22nd date of submission, a February 9/10 hearing. Maybe that would give you a little more space. I don't know, Madam Chair.
It's your call.
Your call.
I think I would be okay with either end of January or February, but that's your team's call also.
Yeah.
But I think anything earlier than that may not help you with responding to so many questions that we have before you.
Understood, fair. Team, first February hearing date or the last January hearing date? I'm sorry to do this on the record, but.
You can actually,
You can contact the project manager.
You can talk
Okay.
to the project manager and let them know. We're just giving you these options. If you want, you can talk to the project manager and identify the time.
Okay.
Yeah, Jennifer, I'll say on our end, we're more than confident with being able to turn it around by then.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We'll be in touch with the project manager then on an adjourned date, and we would not have to notice again for that adjourned date.
No.
Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
Did the community board,
Notice
vote?
to Andrew,
Yes.
to Mr. Touch, Tush.
We can
reach out to the applicant, to the Mr. Tush, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Chair, we did go before the community board, the land use board committee for the Bronx Community Board B. There was they approved with a condition that there were some conditions at the site that they wanted cleaned up before the land use board, before the community board met. We did that. And then the community board met and did vote in favor.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. That was one of the questions I had. Yes.
Thank you. So we'll be in touch with an adjourned date, but we appreciate the time today, and we'll be looking forward to doing a revised submission. And we appreciate the comments from Mr. Tuck, and we'll make sure that we respond to those in our response.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 6, 2025-28 BZ, 7100 Shore Road, Brooklyn. Okay, who are all the team that is going to speak?
No.
You can have seats here. You can raise your hands, but you know,
You what?
are they all going to speak?
No,
No?
but those that are should probably raise their hands.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You should raise your hands.
Negative.
Whoever's going to provide testimony today, raise your hands.
Take-
Mr. Sh-
I'm
Mr.
just gonna have a minute. as
We're just gonna get.
Yeah, just let me, should I swear?
We'll swear him, yeah.
Okay.
Swear him in now? Okay. Okay, raise your right hands. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Great. Have a seat. Give it a sec. Nice to have you in person.
Well, you know, it's an important case and I haven't seen you guys for a long time.
Yeah.
So. We have others that may speak who are offline at the moment, but only if in response to questions.
Okay, let me know. You mean they're in the Zoom?
Yeah, we do have to put one person into the room who's going to,
Okay, that's the architect's assistant. Yeah.
Who's-
That's, is that Amra?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're letting them in? Okay, I'll swear them in.
Thank you.
So you get rid of it.
Sorry.
Okay, where is that person? Not yet.
Lower right. That's line.
Who's coming in?
Yeah. Hi.
Hello? Hi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Right hand, so I can swear you in. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Thank you. Okay. Are we ready?
Sure, just.
Sure.
His name.
Your name.
No, wait, let me recall the case again. We're 2025-28 BZ, 7100 Shore Road, Brooklyn. Proceed. State your name for the record.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Shelley Friedman and Gottbaum, representing the Civilian High School. It's a pleasure to be before you today. We did listen to the review session, and we're very appreciative of your consideration and your comments. We do have a full presentation, but in light of the comments received, the review session comments, I think we can focus in, if you would prefer, on those comments directly and move things along. In that regard, we're going to, Amra, could you please put up the slide of the of the streets? We thought this would be useful for our next speaker. The site, Severian High School, is in blue. The school occupies the entire site. It's approximately 100,000 square feet of zoning lot. It has no adjacent neighbors on the block. It's surrounded by the surrounding streets are Shore Road to the left, which leads to the Narrows, and then McKay Place, 71st Street, and Narrows. In order to address your concerns regarding the school buses and the traffic situation generally, I'd like to call Robert Alessi. Dr. Alessi is the longtime head of the school and is very much on top of the traffic and the traffic issues which you have discussed and which the community board has discussed. We had a robust discussion with them and accepted a friendly amendment from the community board, from the community board committee, suggesting that we would work closely with the community board going forward and with the neighbors going forward on their parking and traffic concerns. So I'd like to ask Dr. Alessi to step up.
Thank you, Shelley. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for your time in support of our application today. I just wanted to make one correction that Shelley gave me a promotion that I am not Dr. Alessi, just Mr. Alessi, but I appreciate that, Shelley, very, very much.
I just run with it.
I have to be too honest, Commissioner. Thank you again for giving us this opportunity. Oh, yes, Robert Alessi, President of Severian. I've been with the school. This is my 44th year, not counting the time that I was a student at Savarian. So to have the opportunity to be part of a project that will allow for us to expand our programs and our facility is something that is very exciting for us. We understand that there is a concern from the community as it relates to traffic and to buses, and we've listened to our community board. We're very grateful to them for supporting our application thus far, as well as for Councilman Brannan, who also has given his full support. But certainly, we are very conscious of the impact that we have in our community, not just for the students that we serve. We have 1,700 families that we now serve, and we're very proud of that. But we also realize that we are part of our residential community, and so the traffic and the busing for schools is always a challenge for any school here in New York City, and we are committed to trying to do whatever we can to mitigate any of the concerns that we hear with regard to the traffic, and certainly I think with regard to construction for the construction period of time that we're about to undergo. If you look at the map of the school, it was mentioned that we have a lot of yellow buses that are part of our school community. Okay, there are 25 buses that we use throughout the course of a given day. Of those, 19 of those buses are for drop off and pickup of our students on the Shore Road side, and we have on the narrow side additional buses as well. We have 6 small buses and 19 of the bigger buses. What we've tried to do is to make sure that we keep the traffic on the Shore Road and narrow side, because those are the largest streets. Those are two-way streets. Shore Road is not residential, so right across the street from us is just the park and leading off to the Bell Parkway. So we try to make sure that all of the drop-offs and pickups happen either there or on the Narrows Avenue side. Okay, there are residential houses across the street from Narrows, but it is a two-way street, so it does afford us a little bit more space for those buses. On both Narrows Avenue and on Shore Road are bus stops for MTA, and so we work very closely with them in making sure that we share those spaces with the existing bus stops that are there. Our obviously biggest concern is safety within the small area that we have, both for our students and our staff as well as for our community. We fought very hard and we were able to get a traffic light at 71st Street, so that way when our students are crossing the street or when residents are crossing the street, that they have additional safety that is there. As far as the parking lot is utilized almost exclusively by faculty and staff. We have a small number of spots that are there, and we certainly are looking right now during the period of construction to find locations that we can use for off-site parking to alleviate any of the congestion that might happen on the neighboring streets. Our staff has been in communication with representatives from EDC to see if we can lease space at the Brooklyn Army Terminal. We're hoping, because that's very close to us, we have a couple of our own vehicles that we can utilize to shuttle faculty back and forth, which is not too far from us. And those conversations are ongoing. We're hopeful that we're able to come to some kind of an agreement with the EDC with space at the Brooklyn Army Terminal. We're also reaching out to the local parishes within our community that are part of the Diocese of Brooklyn that might have additional parking spaces so that we can also use our shuttles back and forth for faculty during the period of time that we're under construction. I do want to reinforce, however, that the project, yes.
I have a question. So this
Sure.
is only a temporary measure during construction. You wouldn't need to provide any additional parking spaces for your faculty once the completion is over, you'll be able to accommodate it on the site?
So we will lose at the tail end of the construction, we will lose some of the parking. And so we are looking to, so the majority of the spaces that will be lost during construction, but after post-construction, part of the expansion is designed to encroach into the parking. So we lose a few spots there, and so we're hoping that we're going to be able to find some long-term solutions for our ability to be able to move faculty from the off-site spot back to our campus.
And these conversations with EDC, they're have moved along?
So we had a good conversation. My CFO, Walter Capice, has had numerous conversations with them. I think another meeting is scheduled or a call is scheduled for January. And so we're hopeful that that will be fruitful and that we'll be able to come up with an agreement with them for us. That would be a real home run for us to be able to work something out there.
Is there any writing back and forth, or?
We do have, the emails, I think, or phone call conversations that we can share that with you. The conversations that have happened back and forth, for sure.
It's okay. No,
No,
we don't need that, but I just wanted to kind of get an understanding of the extent of the discussion that
Sure.
you've been part of. And has the community board been informed of this dialogue and
So this happened, Commissioner, after we listened to the community board and we heard their concerns about the traffic. So we were committed to putting into place a plan that would look into how we could mitigate some of those concerns and ease some of the congestion. So it's part of that. So we would be reporting back to our community board with an update. As we said to them that as we got closer to construction, we would also work with our local 6-8 precinct, because quite honestly, not all of the traffic comes from the buses. There are parents that will drop kids off back and forth, which creates the usual double parking and whatnot. And so one of the conversations that was happening at the community board is for us to explore possibilities of working closer with the 6-8 to have people there to be able to help us to mitigate some of the traffic flow. In reality, the majority of the crunch time is that 2:30 to 2:45 when students are dismissed, and usually after 2:45 the buses leave, parents have picked up students, and things become calm again. So those are the times that we're trying to see how we can better navigate the flow of traffic, which is just the ongoing challenge that we have with with a school, and especially a school in a residential area.
Do your buses leave Brooklyn, or?
They do. Commissioner, yes, we have buses that also go into Manhattan, into Staten Island, and parts of Queens. So the 19 buses do, with the exception of probably the Bronx, we do try to gain students from all of the parts of the city.
and do you have curbside parking for for buses?
We have, right now, we use our parking lot for our own buses. But along the perimeter of the school, there is no designated spot for the school buses to park.
And I'm assuming that is something that won't go well with the community if you were to have curbside pickup, drop off for buses.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they wouldn't
Commissioner.
fill all the parking spaces.
Yes.
And so that's why you're trying to contain the vehicle within your site.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, so you said the parking lot is being used by faculty and for school buses
Yes.
right now. During construction, that would be off limit for all of those.
Yes. So
vehicles.
just for clarification, so the 25 buses are not housed at our facility. So we lease those. We have 5 of our own mini buses, and those would be the ones that we keep on our campus and would be used for shuttle back and forth.
Okay. And you will continue to provide that post-construction, 5 buses, those mini buses will always be on your parking lot.
Correct.
Okay.
And just another point of clarification, that I know there was a concern that the expansion would bring more students, more families. It is not our intention. Part of our strategic plan to increase our enrollment, but just to try to reduce class size for the existing enrollment that we do have in our building, which is, we're at 100% capacity plus right now.
Right, yes. Um, Any other, thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
think it would be very helpful if you can add these comments that was stated by Mr. Elisi.
Elisi, yes.
Elisi, in your statement of facts, or as a response to or as a separate cover letter as a response to the community concerns and the opposition letters.
That's fine. All what was said.
Yeah, just speak at the mic, sorry. We don't.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, we're just for our transcript.
Everything that was stated just now is contained in the environmental assessment statement in table F2, the travel demand factors, which breaks down how students arrive and how they leave. Just to work that data a little bit.
I think we should incorporate some of that into the statement.
It's already, okay, we did that, but it's already in the record. So 45% of the students arrive by some form of mass transit unrelated to these school buses. So this school bus is not an existential issue for the school, but it's one of long-standing. It has gone back for years, and it will continue to be the same issue because we're not increasing the student enrollment with or without the approval of these variances.
The only issue, I mean, though it's, as I mentioned, you're not asking for an increase in FAR, you're just asking for modifications to lot coverage and yard regulations. And that affects the amount of parking that you can provide post-construction on the site. And how do you ensure that that will not become an added detriment to the neighborhood, and how would you address that in the future? That also would be very helpful.
Correct. And there was a robust discussion at the community board about, joint discussions going forward, both during construction and post-construction, and the community board, as a result of those, recommended approval of the project based on the commitments the school had made on the record in front of the community board, which we're prepared to make again to the board.
We didn't see any such statement or document from the community board. Is there?
I think that the initial for the first board said that there were comments, and then that the community board had I've been okay with everything.
Okay.
The committee of the community board approved the application unanimously. At the full board hearing, there was testimony by Mr. Alessi. I've always been intimidated by school principals. That's why I automatically refer to him as a doctor. That colloquy between Dr. Alessi and those who attended that night resulted in an amendment to the Land Use Committee's resolution regarding ongoing communications and dialogue with the community on it. And the school parking was really much more so, as he referred to, about parents arriving, which is a somewhat random event, the SUVs and the Ubers and all the rest, which are beyond the school's control. What they can control with the buses, they certainly intend to take a very active hand.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
It's also to view the renderings we had. Jesse Mellon from Eastman is here to show.
Yeah, the volume's cutting in and out a little bit. If you could repeat that.
A bit, maybe.
How am I doing? Better?
Is that better?
Yeah, I think that's better.
Jesse Mellon from Perkins Eastman is here to show you the renderings that we showed to the community board at the night of their hearing. Those since are also in the record because according to the rules, we have to submit whatever whatever was not part of the application. So you have those renderings in the record, but he certainly would like to show them to you now for the official hearing.
Thank you for pointing me, and I can look for it myself.
Oh, as you wish.
Is that okay?
I'm okay with that. I've seen the renderings.
You've seen the rest. I didn't actually look through the testimony document fully. I just looked for the letter. No, actually, no. Where did you
looking
find it?
for?
I
Where-
found it in the,
It's not in the was it in the submission?
Would be, if it's community board, it would be in testimony.
No, I didn't see it in
it
the,
wasn't in the community board.
it's not in the testimony. It's the approval Bronx,
So I was looking for it and that's why I was looking for myself.
where is it? Am I looking at?
Wondering if those came in as in response to our notice of comments.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just, community board certification, city council board recommendation. Maybe, just in the, why don't, since you have your team, maybe.
There are only a few. And I'm sorry? Section
Oh.
D.
Mm,
D. D is
Isn't
in,
David?
no.
Okay.
Right, we'll find it then.
Okay, I'm not finding it, but maybe you can send
Here
it
it is.
again.
One. It should have been part of the proposed plan.
Okay.
Also, the end of the right at the end of page 3, it's the second to last paragraph.
The chapel.
Okay, that's fine. That's-
Well, our architect is sworn in and raring to go if you'd like to see them.
Right?
You're being paid by the hour, I guess, by the word. It's up to you.
Sorry, I stole your
So
word.
we'll take up the board's time if you
Okay.
thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate it. And that
But I do want to thank you for bringing your team to, here to respond to all our questions and comments. I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Surely, our pleasure. And the school's direction, they wanted to be very fulsome in this hearing and move things. As you know, we've made a request for whatever expeditious treatment you can give us because there are financing issues that are dependent on obtaining this variance and moving on. So we have that request in writing as well. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to slip it in. That really is a response to your, what we understand is a response to what we heard in the review session. We're looking forward to hearing from any community input and an opportunity to respond to those after.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Benke, is there any update that you can give me regarding
I-
the environment? Oh, sorry.
We just received a number of objections about 2 hours ago.
Oh, we did?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to forward. Project manager will forward them to, oh, Jalissa. We'll get them to
So
you.
I think
We'll get
that's
them to you,
something you're gonna have to
Elena.
respond to, but these objections seem to be the very topic that we're discussing about the
Traffic.
traffic
congestion.
congestions,
One of the
that are
people who submitted
parking
an
and making
objection
it
letters.
worse.
So-
Yeah, there's,
So let's go to the public
Yeah.
first. But before I do that, I do want to hear from Ms. Benke if there is anything regarding the environmental review that we need to know about.
We've been in recent discussions with the applicant, and I believe for the hazmat review, they may be requesting an E designation. They can confirm, and they're working with LPC on a restrictive deck regarding archaeological.
Okay, an LPC for restrictive deck.
yes, our request is that can be held. We're happy to comply with OPC and with DEP. These are late in comments. Our only request is that we be able to do it post-approval with the board's permission as items in the resolution.
No, it's part of the secret. So it's part of the secret.
We can't grant without LPC.
Yeah, we need the LP. So in order for us to grant a decision,
Mhm.
we need the secret to be completed and signed off, which means we need the sign off from all our sister reviewing agencies. In this case, it would be DEP and LPC. They are the most affected by it. And we need their sign off in order for us to close. So
Oh.
if you're going to draft a restrictive deck, I would strongly suggest that you put that together as quickly as possible
We will.
for it to be reviewed by us and by LPC. And the E designation should not be that much of an issue. And that process, whatever the process that is required, I see Carlo, Mr. Costanza, your hand is up.
Yes, no, Madam Chair, I just wanted to alert the board that the DEP review is kind of contingent on the landmarks because the landmarks has to happen first, so.
Okay.
So
So,
they're not two separate reviews, they're kind of in tandem.
You know, we're happy to enter into the restrictive declaration. That's not the issue. The issue would be whether we can actually perform
yes.
the scrape that they want to see
That
on
would be
the
the part
site.
of the, okay, I misunderstood. Yes, that would be part of the condition that we can, should we grant an approval,
Mhm.
it would be part of the condition that no work permit can be issued until you have fulfilled the LPC and the hazmat requirements, which are kind of tied together because of the location of it. And then you can proceed with so you could probably be parallel processing your pre-development plans and starting with the environmental investigation.
Thank you. We believe that will be very helpful. And
Okay, yes, I think that can be done. And I think LPC would be okay with that, provided there's a restrictive deck that has been approved and recorded prior to our decision. Okay. Is that okay with everyone?
I'm okay with that. I do think we can close before this, so.
I
don't think it's necessary.
let's just first hear the public.
Okay.
Let's hear the public. Okay,
thank you, commissioners.
okay, thank you.
Okay, the case that we're currently discussing is 2025-28 BZ 7100 Shore Road, Brooklyn. Should you wish to comment on this application, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you'll enter the Weber ID number 161-660-4214 and press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you will press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you'll press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute as you're calling in on the phone. And after the Zoom room are ready, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you are recognized, you'll have 3 minutes to comments. And the first person is Regina Farage.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, please state your name, and do you have a video? I mean, can you put your camera? If not, that's okay. I guess it's okay.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's okay.
You can start. Go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, my name is Regina Farage, and I am a resident and owner in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, located on 72nd Street between Narrows and Colonial. I have submitted already a 4-page letter identifying my concerns about this enlargement of Severian property.
We did receive that.
Thank you. Do I need to read it into the record, or will it be circulated and
It's been
responded to?
circulated to the board members.
Okay. So what I heard today was that they're alleging this is a mid-block enlargement in which there are apartment buildings on either side of that enlargement. But even when you look at the design plan, the blueprints, you can obviously see that the enlargement they're proposing mid-block is actually across from residential homes. The large apartment buildings are actually located closer to Shore Road on 71st Street and McKay Place. So that in itself is misleading. The other thing is the houses on either side of that enlargement are not 30 feet or higher. They are lower than 30 feet. So that's also misleading. The concern also is currently, and as they said here, is in 2015, the school went co-ed and it increased by 48%. And that they're claiming that there's no increase in enrollment currently, but that does not preclude increase of enrollment going forward. And what has happened since that 2015 increase is we lost Bishop Kearney High School, which a majority of the schools of the majority of the girls attended from the neighborhood, which will probably go to Severian. We also lost Visitation, which was a few blocks over, which was grades 1 through 8. So my understanding is they're alleging there's no increase in enrollment, but I can't believe there's no fact or there's no documentation stating that will not happen. Currently, with that increase and with the upgrades they've made since 2015, the buses that line Narrows Avenue are double and triple parked, disrupting the flow of traffic, pedestrians and cyclists who are trying to go to a destination other than the school. This interruption is causing potential fatalities, accidents to happen. And these school buses that are there sit there idling. They do not go into the parking lot that's part of the Severian existing site. They stay on Narrows Avenue, and the students get on and off on Narrows Avenue, not just Shore Road. As of yesterday, I was there taking pictures, and at 4:30 in the afternoon, there were still school buses lined up on Narrows Avenue, double and triple parked. Meanwhile, the local city bus line was unable to pull into the existing bus stop, drop off people, but dropped them off in the street, not at the curb. There was also a statement that there's potential of relocating existing bus lines. Currently, B9 and B64 are on Narrows Avenue between 71st and McKay Place. So if they're relocating the bus lines, where do they propose they're going to go? Further in depth into the one-way streets of the residential neighborhood? The other question is,
Ms. Farages, thank you for
Yes.
your 3 minutes is up. If you want to add anything, you can put it in writing and we will review it. Thank
okay,
you.
can I propose questions then? Because they made
We're not going
statements.
to answer any questions. Yes, you can propose, if you're over your 3-minute time.
If you want to submit if you want to make something in writing and put comments in writing, you can certainly submit that to the board.
Okay. For a formal response and a follow-up meeting, or just to put them in
You can
writing?
appear at the next hearing.
Okay, so there will be a next hearing.
Your comments are being heard by the board, and these comments are also being heard by the applicant. It would be the applicant's responsibility to answer these questions for board to consider reviewing.
Okay, and just, okay.
Okay.
I didn't even get through half of what I had to say.
But we did receive your-
did see your 4-page letter.
Right.
We saw all 4 points, including the power plant pollution statements. We hear you now, and if you want to submit more comments, we will certainly review them, and we will ask the applicant team to prepare a response to those comments to be submitted to the board.
Okay, what is the time frame for me to submit additional information and questions?
We haven't set the time of the next hearing. You haven't appeared by motion, so I can't give you a timeline on that. What do we want to do? You can submit if you have comments and statements that you want to
You
do.
already have a written statement, so why don't you just submit it to submit@bsa.nyc.gov? You seem to be reading from some statement, so might as well submit that.
The board will discuss with the applicant setting a new date, and you are free to submit any of your comments up to that date.
I would ask that at least a week before that date, so the applicant team has some time to prepare a response to that
Sure.
statement.
The public nonetheless is free to submit any comments up until
Yeah, public can.
up until the record is closed.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone
Anyone else who wishes to?
Elizabeth Mead or James Carney? Do you wish to speak? Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a concept, not a person.
And James Carney?
Sorry.
Is James Carney part of your team?
No, okay.
Okay.
We've gave him the options. Mr.
Someone from the applicant team to come back up to discuss scheduling.
Sally, Mr. Friedman.
I just want to clarify a couple of things that was stated by the person who just spoke. The question, the person quoted something about the houses not designed higher than 30. I think I was making that comment based on my assessment of regarding finding C, which is neighborhood context. And yeah, yes, there is a new construction that is happening that is fronting on Narrows, and there is a portion that is an enlargement of the mid-block portion. So there are two things that are happening. However, the enlargement that is happening on the, and I stand with what I stated, is the mid-block portion, the enlargement that is happening, that is on the entirety of the through block portion. And where what is being built on the Narrows frontage is of a much smaller footprint. So looking at the need of the school's program and how it is containing the need more in the central area than to along the narrow street is what I was relating to. And thereby I was referring to some of the building heights. What the proposed building height is 30 feet. And yes, the residential buildings may not be exactly 30 feet. They may be lower, but there is a compatibility and I would say not totally out of context height that is being proposed by the building. And more importantly, what the applicant is seeking is not a height waiver, it is an as-of-right waiver. It is an as-of-right building height. So we are not here to waive any height. The applicant is only seeking a waiver of the lot coverage and the front yard and not anything else. Okay.
So do you want to set schedule? Sure.
Anything else that you would want to add to what has been stated by the public? Just please use the mic.
I think we are, Tom.
Old school. I would prefer to come back at the conclusion of all the public statements and so that we can provide a consolidated response to other comments. But if the board wishes, we can discuss hearing dates now.
I think I think it will be very critical for you just as and Mr. Friedman, I don't need to tell you this, you have worked with various kinds of community boards over the years, is to work very closely with the community board and have a clear line of communication with them in terms of what your initial plans are and how you're proceeding, whether that's relocating the bus lanes, because relocating the bus lane is not going to happen at a snap of a finger. It's going to require coordination with the community board, with city transit and all of that. So yes, it's an initial thought you're proposing, but it would require a lot of other review and process. So I think I just want it to, if anybody's listening in, I just want to be very clear that it's not something that's going to happen overnight. And
to be clear, the school has already engaged with the MTA prior to this application on the bus lane issue and the bus route issue. So those are ongoing discussions as well. They have not proven effective as of yet, but the school's interests are aligned with the communities about safety and reducing the school impact, primarily at the end of the day where most of this is taking place. But that I can assure you that alignment is longstanding and will continue regardless of what happens at this board.
right, okay, and none of the things that we are reviewing it's in that purview.
Right. And again, to be clear,
That's an independent discussion.
the secret analysis has indicated there's no adverse impacts that need to be mitigated. It simply is a quality of life kind of concern. Very important, but nonetheless not a secret issue.
I would though state, I mean, we do review a lot of school cases, and as part of that, the coordination of parents coming, pick up, and having a designated area where the parents come and pick up becomes very critical. So I think that it requires a little bit of an in-house processing at your end in terms of how we can improve the circulation and operation, or have like in some cases we hear parents are given a certain tranche of time period within which they can come and pick up. And so this way you manage the amount of vehicles that are coming at a given time so that you can pace it out. So those are some of the ideas that over the years that we have been on the board that we have heard. I'm not saying what I'm suggesting is going to work for every school, but these are ideas that have been there, and you being in the school for so many years, you have exercised many of them, but I would strongly suggest for you to kind of look at ways you can kind of make that process a little bit more streamlined. These are just some very minor suggestions that we have from our experience here on the board. Okay. So commissioners, what would you like to do? Would you want to close this and keep the record open for the SECRA purposes and for response to the questions, or we still think the neighborhood character issue still is an issue with regards to the traffic part of it?
I think that the only reason I would ask to close is for the financing issues that they detailed.
If I could elaborate on that, simply so you have it all before you. The school is working with the city on an NYC build financing package. They have indicated that they cannot proceed to their next step without having the board's resolution. And without that, and they have also indicated that they have a sunset provision for these discussions with us by the end of the year. So we are on that short time frame.
Okay. So the way I feel is that the neighborhood context issues that has been raised has been ongoing, and it is independent of this proposed enlargement. And the measures that you're taking in terms of the proposed enlargement with regards to impact during construction you're already responding, you're looking at ways to address that. And that I want to see in the statement of facts and how you're proposing that, because that is critical. And that also goes towards the environmental review. So I do want to have a very clear discussion as to how you're addressing the during construction traffic related mitigation that would arise from the site. And that needs to be responded to. But other than that, what you have is an ongoing situation, and you're not asking for an increase in the enrollment. And that is evident from the fact that you're proposing to add more classrooms because you are trying to maintain the revised student to faculty ratio. And that number has reduced. So that requires you to provide more classrooms. It's not to provide more students. And it is and that fact you have clearly stated, and we are aware of that from many schools that come before us, that to address this new ratio, you have to provide smaller classroom sizes. And because of that, more classrooms are being required, and not because of the increased amount of enrollment. So I think that's quite a good amount of an evidence that we have that makes me assures me that this is an enlargement not for increase in enrollment, but this is an enlargement to accommodate the existing body of students that you have. So with that in mind, I am comfortable closing, but keeping the record open for the SECRA purposes and the revision to the narrative of the statement of facts. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes. You want to make a motion?
I see somebody's hand up. No, the person has already spoken. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ms. Faraja, you cannot speak again. As I said, if you wish to submit any further comments, submit at bsa.nyc.gov. If you have any questions, you can reach out to the project manager, Rajela Prenga. Okay? Want to make a motion?
Yeah.
Motion to close, Chair Shonda.
Aye.
Commissioner, Vice Chair Shabeta.
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown.
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta.
Aye.
Okay.
You may need to revise some plans to add some notes on, so especially with regards to hazmat and LPC. So those plans may need to be, those comments need to be reflected in the plans. So you would need to revise the statement of facts and also the plans and environmental review.
In regard to it's on the statement of facts, will we hear from Ms. Prenga on what those changes to the drawings are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So how much time do you need to make these corrections?
To the statement of facts, I would say that within 2 weeks.
I appreciate that you have a sunset provision, but there's a lot of changes we spoke about a lot. I think you might need a little more time.
Well, the statement, we have the transcript to review all of that, but it seems that the statement of facts, and then whatever related changes to the statement of findings can be done very quickly here. A lot of what you've asked for is already in the record in one form or another, whether it's the renderings or the data on the buses and the like. So we do, of course, have to contact the Landmarks Commission and work that piece of it out. But in terms of our responsibilities for resubmission of our documents, it seems that, I mean, it's on our backs to get the LPC work done, and I understand that clock is ticking. But to get our documents aligned, subject to hearing from Jella on what changes she wants to see in the drawings, I think we can do those relatively quickly.
So there are a couple of things that I want to, you don't appear before us very often, so this is a new, in order for us to have a quick turnaround on our resolutions, one of the things that I'm requiring is that all statement of facts, all the documents that we require to review be submitted at least 2 weeks prior to the assigned date for decision. And that, and based on that, we can then proceed to make sure everything is correct and all the documents and the drafting of the resolution can proceed accordingly. So working backwards, if we do December, then there's not much time. You literally have to submit tomorrow, really, because we're getting it. What is the calendar?
Submission date for December 8th, 9th is November 20th. So that's
November
when-
20th. So November 20th is the submission date. Will that be possible?
Yes.
And
For January 12/13, it's 12/29.
so you need the approval from the board?
They need, as a condition of closing, New York NYC Build requires a copy of
the board's
resolution.
Okay.
That's really going to be contingent on everything you do with LPC to get that done.
Okay.
To complete.
So that's the other thing. You also need to have the resolution, the restrictive deck drafted and reviewed and approved by both BSA and by LPC.
We also need the e-designation request to go to DEP.
That-
We haven't received that letter yet.
You'll have that by the end of the day, if not by the end of the day by tomorrow. We wanted to wait until this hearing to make sure
Right.
we're submitting it right, but we have it. It's ready to come in.
Okay, thanks.
I am actually I'm not sure whether we can get this done. I mean,
If we could just be clear on what the total requirements are for LPC, it's the completion of a restrictive declaration, not the actual work being done. The restrictive declaration is a form that they use. I've looked at the form. I don't think it's, it will require, it's not my decision ultimately, but I don't think it's going to require a lot of drafting or wordsmithing. It's their form of RD, and we would submit that to them within a couple of
Ms.
days.
Penke, how long does it take to get the hazmat, the e-designation?
It varies. We currently have an open review for hazmat, so I'm going to try and add it to the open request right now. That was supposed to be reviewed by November 17th, I think was the promise date by DEP.
Okay. All right. I'm going to.
Or the 14th, actually.
It's up to you, Mr. Friedman, to get all of this done in time for us to do this. And I will honor your request because it's a school and because you're on a funding timeline to for which you need the resolution. But it really has to be a perfect application that is submitted that helps us to get everything done at our end also in a timely manner. And I know your team can do it.
That's all I needed to hear. Thank you.
Okay. So that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, no, we already closed it. Okay, this concludes the public hearing for November 5th, 2025. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.